I forget what happened.
Me too. Hello. What's good, Westworld writers, YouTubers, and hosts? It's Tuesday, so you already know Tinfoil Tuesday is back in action. And the one that's going back down that rabbit hole, you know I wouldn't have it any other way. The red beard and knowledge coming down. Let's do it. What's good, Andy?
As you heard in the intro, I could see the red light. We went live. As I said, I don't remember nothing or whatever I said. So I don't know that the knowledge is coming this episode, but I do have some gloating to do.
He said, let's get away. Gloat. He said, you're bringing up stuff I don't even remember. So let's see the chat. Remember, what is it?
Oh, man, we had the man in black bringing up entropy and people, the human just aiding the earth in entropy. And I was like, man, what was it, like 2 weeks ago I was talking about entropy? But, you know, I got that one. And he specifically says, you know, he comes to the realization that if he's a host, but he can't tell, does it really matter? Right?
That was some wild shit to hear. Yeah, that was nuts.
Who said that? I said that I might have said that like 2 years ago. Who did? That's some shit. I was like, yes, he said it exactly. Like, doesn't matter. When we were talking about life, we're always talking about like the are they alive, the host alive? And when I was like, yeah, but like if you can't tell the difference with your consciousness, does it really matter? Like that you're a host. I was like, fuck yeah, he said it. I'm gonna gloat. Can't wait for that.
Confirmed. What's up? I see you out there, the one you David Adams out in the chat already. What do you think about that? Is Andy right? Does it really matter? I'm still not buying it. I still call BS. It's just a show. The fact of the matter is, I have free will. Oh, but you definitely, if you want to break it down for him, what does the name of this episode mean to you? Decoherence can be viewed as the loss of information from a system into the environment, often modeled as heat bath, since every system is loosely coupled with the energetic state of its surroundings.
I think that has to do with Charlotte, you know, like Dolores, Charlotte, whatever they call it, Shaloris, whatever they call her, or Haloris, whatever. Her, it's about her and her changing. She realizes she's changing and that she's separating herself from who she's supposed to be, the code that is Dolores that's inside her, and she's not that anymore. Like, and ultimately ends in her downfall. But I think it's that, right?
There you go. I think you're absolutely right. What's up, Peter Griffin? I see you out there. Absolutely. I think it's a little bit to do with that, and then a little bit to do with like maybe the host as a whole and all the information that's getting ready to be leaked out of Delos. The fact that he's just torching trillions of dollars worth of inventory and I mean, I was like, are you kidding me? Who does this kind of thing? But yeah. And then the fact, I mean, so many sad things. Our man's just got blasted. He is no more to Hector. What? Maybe that's what they mean. Just Hector used to be part of the system, and now he's just gone.
Yeah. Here's a legit question. Well, do you think? I think that they're destroying all the information from Delos because they already have it, and they don't want it to be in the real world. Like, there's already a copy of it that exists. Obviously, there's that copy because if you're running simulations, there has to be all that information, right? You're going to have this whole Delos thing in involvement. And, like, because think about if someone can go to the park, right, and vent some frustration, well, if Hobo doesn't have that information on how like the park operates and all that bullshit, it can't predict the effect that would have on a person. Like, venting frustrations has significant benefits. Like, you can vent to your spouse, right? If you could go to a world and just like murder everything without consequence, like, that has to be considered in the simulation. So I think that all that information exists.
It could, but how would it get it unless it was Bluetooth hijacking it from Westworld? I mean, he even said, he's like, I'm missing this information, and the people who have it is this freaking amusement park over here. So
Yeah.
unless he was like, unless that's what the mole got enough info out to him to get it, it's like, how could that really be? And he's a machine. It's like what we've seen, like even with Dolores, the machine can't tell the difference. The machine can't tell that you're just going to a park to act out your frustrations, and then you come back to the real world and be a real human being. So it's like, if they can't make that justification, then it's going to be false information that it's deducing, right?
Yeah, like there's going to be flaws in the machine if they don't have all that information. That's what I'm saying. But it was just leading me more and more when, he was talking to Maeve about like, oh, I can give your daughter back and shit. I don't think, like, he's trying to destroy everything, right? So let's pretend that he's telling the truth. I don't know if he is or not, but let's assume that he's telling the truth to Maeve. Wouldn't he just be talking about a simulation? Well, if he had all the information of her daughter and stuff, he would be able to give her that, because they're just hosts, right? So they're just programs. So if he could put her back in that program because he has all that information, then he's not lying.
Well, if that's the case, then nobody's ever dead and they can just bring Hector back.
Exactly.
But can you bring Hector back? Because are you going to know every little thing when he was more awake and running with Maeve and, loving being alive and like the little things that they did? I mean, are you going to know every little essence of Hector, or is it just going to be a reboot of his original program?
Yeah, we would have to go back to last season to see how often it's updating with like the mainframe, right? You could bring Hector back and like his base file, but if he's updating the whole time everything's going on with Maeve, well, then it's feasible that you could draw that information and just put it back in him. You know what I mean? Like what's his name said it this episode, like, the hosts are perfect. You guys can remember everything. People aren't like that.
Yeah, their memories, perfect memories, not that they're perfect. But yeah, and speaking of perfect, Peter Griffin says the perfect video game is not the game that you play, but a game that you live. And even better if you don't know that you're inside of it.
Yeah, you lose yourself.
What's up? I see out there Christian Olis and Ricky Hunt. Welcome. Good to see you back. Tinfoil Tuesday, heading right back down that rabbit hole. It's just what we do. But yeah, there's Sirach is definitely, I think, bluffing a lot of this. He's playing a card. He's playing cards that he's not really holding. And the whole thing with Maeve on a whole is Maeve's daughter's gone, and even if she's not, say he can bring her back, he's already said that there's no place for you here. So he's already basically said that even if I get what I want, I'm just destroying all you anyway. So where does Maeve and her daughter think that they're going to live? Can't live on Earth with them. He's destroying everything else. What is it going to be? Just Maeve and her daughter and some black void, like just nothing? It's like, what exactly is he promising Maeve? That's one of the things I don't understand.
I think he's kind of promising her to let her into the whatever it's called, which we might see. What's that place called?
The Sublime.
The Sublime. That's it. He's trying. But what?
I thought he's basically going to get rid of that and delete all that. Like, why does he want the Sublime and all that info? He's just going to get the info and then leave it alone. There's no way he's going to destroy it.
Well, no, but I'm saying he could. Like, he could put her in the Sublime. I think that's what they're hinting at, right?
So they put him in the Sublime and then kill her and blow up the Sublime. Like what? So you can hold your daughter as you get deleted? I just don't understand what it is he's actually offering her. Because it seems to me that he wants to delete the Sublime and get rid of it. He wants that information for himself, upload it into Rehoboam, and then he's going to ruin it and delete it like everything else. So
I think he wants ultimate control. Like, we're getting more and more of that. He's not altruistic. He's like wants control. Like that. I like that we saw that a lot more this episode. So he can't pretend that he's doing the right thing. Like, oh, we want to get rid of all crime and we want to make the perfect world. He's murdering people in broad daylight. Like, he's hiring big ass hits on people. And we're supposed to assume that he's doing this for the good of mankind. Hell no.
No, there's nothing good. We saw some true Sirach, I think, this episode. He is an asshole. Like from jump to finish. Like he is just not nice. Like he's not trying to sweet coat. He's not trying to sugarcoat nothing. He's just like, hey, do this, delete all, round them up. Yeah. He is straight to business. I don't care about nothing. Which, I mean, somebody that void of feelings starting to sound a little hosty to me.
And I think they gave it to you, right? Then they did it in this episode where they had Hale shoot him, and he wasn't there. I was like, yes, they're letting you know that he's not always there when you think he's there, and he's being projected. Sure. Mm-hmm. So when that happened, I was like, yes, they gave that to you a couple weeks ago with the projector thing. They showed where it was coming from. But I was pretty excited about that. I'm like, yes, they're letting you know he ain't there.
Yeah, I mean, we were already pretty sure about that. I mean, we knew he wasn't always going to be there. But so he obviously, does that say that he was there for sure the first time he brought Maeve back because he was able to pause her and stop her right there? I mean, that's still, maybe that wasn't in a simulation. Maybe when he said, welcome to the real world, that really was the real world. And he used that pause button to pause her because, I mean, obviously, if he's not there, if he's just a picture, then, you know, it wouldn't matter.
I think that was in the simulation still, too. Right? Like,
why are you worried about pausing her? Why not just let her stab right through him and let her know that, hey, you ain't got nothing on me?
Well, because that ruins the rest of the season, right? You would know that he's not always there. That takes away some of the suspense. But you could bring it up later. You know, like you could show later, like he didn't talk to the waitress. Like there's certain situations that he's not there.
Or are they ever? Has he ever been there? Then I guess would be my question.
Not in the real world. That's my whole thing, right? From episode 1, I said I got to stick with the simulation, and Sirach is part of the simulation. He's probably a hobo, and he's just a representation of hobo. So that's my thing. I'm sticking with it, and every week I'm gonna have to wiggle that into my thing. I'm gonna have to justify it.
It could be. I think it's more like what I wrote back to you before last episode or whatever. Was I think basically we already saw that the host cannot be put into. You can't take a host mind or a real body mind and put it into a host because they freak out and something doesn't work out. I think that William, the Man in Black, is going to be the host that actually can do a real mind that gets put into a host body. He gets in the host body. I made it tough on this one, but I'm still sticking with the host that he stuck him in was Caleb. I don't know. But I think that's going to be the big come up is they find out that you can put a human mind into a host body, but it can't be the same exact duplicate because you'll never be able to get by a mirror. And that's why they keep clawing their faces when they go by mirrors. They see themselves, but they know something's not right. If you put them into a different body and kind of switch it up, then they can exist as somebody else, basically. And I think the flip of that, everybody thinks Caleb is Sirach's brother, but I think Sirach has already implanted his brother's mind into the computer. Like you can't make real people into host, but you can take real people and put it into like a mind of it, like the core unit. You can't make its actual body. But
yeah, I think that could be the case.
What's that?
I think that could be the case. What I mean, like, Sirach could actually be his brother as a computer program in Hobo, right? Like, he could be that. Like, his brother made himself into Hobo, and then that computer program, that's why he'd call himself a brother. Like, they're brothers. They're not exactly the same thing. One's the computer representation of the other, but
so you're saying in the real world there never was a brother?
No, I don't think Sirach probably has never existed in the real world.
He's never been. It's just two machines that have come together as one, basically.
That's my theory. Like, I think that he's just a program. But you are definitely right because we saw Ford in the main hub area. Remember in previous seasons, Ford was able to go in. like become part of the system.
Right, right. So yeah, exactly. I think, like I said, everybody thinks that Caleb is Sirach's brother. I think, yeah, you might be onto something though about him never being real. But why even have that whole thing about Paris, like watching Paris be destroyed? Or is it like how we're seeing Maeve being able to see things when she's just a core unit? That's the way Sirach was seeing things. He was just using outside mirrors and cameras or whatever to watch Paris be destroyed. So he could still see it as being a machine. God dang it. I'm sitting here trying to prove your point and it's working. I don't know about that. I like it though. I like it. What's up, Chad? Is Andy onto something? Was Sirach ever a real boy? Was Sirach ever human?
Nah.
That's a great question.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I still think that, like, he wants that data from Delos, right? That he wants to be able to make hosts so he can enter the real world. That's becoming like what I've been thinking about lately. Like, he wants Delos so that he can make a body for himself because he is a program. Right? Like, he's just hobo. So I don't know. Something Delos has. He needs that shit to make himself a body so he can be the person in the real world. He wants to be a real boy.
That's kind of what I was saying on that last little thing. I was like, is this all about is it just all a Pinocchio story? Is this just all about Rehoboam wanting to become a real boy? Like he saw Dolores and he knows about the host now. He's like, well, if they can be out walking in the real world, I want a body to be able to walk out in the real world. You think it's like that kind of situation getting ready, kind of forming up and happening?
Could be. I think he's more advanced, but, you know, I don't know. I'm pretty convinced he's just a program, and maybe he wants a host body, but it's not about printing the body, right? He could probably do that very simply. It's about making the pearl. That's got to be like the knowledge, how to make a pearl, right?
I mean, I think it's got to be everything, how to make it all work together. I mean, maybe it has different components, but how did Westworld sync it all up and make it actually run, like make the host actually run human? And I think it's just all that information because, like I said, he wants to do that. He wants to project himself and put him out there. He's putting Sirach out as all these pictured simulations, but he wants to actually have a physical body in the real world. Do you think Ricky Hunt's right? Do you think he lies to himself like all the incarnations of William did? Can a computer lie to itself?
I imagine you could. You can convince a computer things like you. I mean, you can override systems. So wouldn't that be like make it think that something's attacking it, and then you can override systems. Backdoors would behave in a way that aren't intended, so they make the computer think that something's okay. So you could do that to yourself if you're a computer. Obviously, I think that because we can lie to ourselves, we can do it, and I think we're just advanced computers.
What's up, everybody? Did we just glitch out? I know you just glitched out on my thing, and for some reason it wasn't letting me. It wasn't letting me like hide or change the wording or whatever. But what's up, Chad? Are we still all good? Everything rolling out there? You can see us, you can hear us, everything rolling? I know with 8 million people all being online at once, this thing likes to glitch out. It actually warns you about that. So if it does, I apologize in advance. We'll try to keep it running as smoothly as possible. So like I said, I was saying they could always save the consciousness to a core unit. It was only when placed in a body it would break down. So basically, I think Sirach just merged the genius of his brother with Solomon to create Rehoboam. But you're thinking that he was never a real man, a boy. That basically they're just programs interacting with each other. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. Why were those shooters in the last episode trying to kill Caleb and not Dolores?
That's what I'm saying. He's the anomaly. Like, he is the thing that they can't predict. I think they can predict Dolores. I think they can do that, especially now that he has Delos. Like, he has all the Delos info. He could look up, if he just added that into Hobo, right? If Hobo had all that information, could predict everything, then it can predict, like, how Dolores is going to behave. I'm convinced it's Caleb
I
that's the
thought,
problem.
aren't the hosts like blank spaces? Aren't those the white spaces that they can't predict though?
I don't think so.
Like when Liam looked at her, she's like, "What do you see?" He's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "There's nothing there. It's just a blank space." He said.
Yeah, but that's history. Like maybe he doesn't even have access. Remember, he doesn't have the highest access. He said that already in the season. So,
you think those glasses are conformed to how different people see different things?
oh yeah, like they're his glasses. So I think they're limited to him.
Well, those were his. Those are ones Dolores had that she took from Jerry.
Oh yeah, she took from. Still, like I think that yeah, the hosts, they can be blank spaces, but Hobo can still pick them. I think you just don't have authorization. It's Caleb. Caleb is the problem.
Caleb is the anomaly. It's definitely. I mean, there's obviously something up with him. And like I said, I think that might be the anomaly because I think the Man in Black might have been converted into host Caleb. He's the Doppelbot, and that's the one. Maybe that's the one thing they can't read is Doppelbots. Ricky Hunt thinks there is a host Sirach and a real Sirach. Well, I mean, Andy's winning me over more and more. I got to tell you, it is looking more and more like there never even was a Sirach. He's basically just AI. I mean, he's artificial intelligence that's learning as it goes. But I mean, and you know what really points to that is at the beginning how Liam said his dad said what the last time they checked on all this, they didn't even know what the computer was doing or thinking. Like it had already ran so far ahead that they didn't know. And that really proves your point. Like, oh, maybe Liam wasn't just confused and thinking, is it maybe his dad really did come up with all this? And basically, Sirach is just AI that's taken over. And that's why they're like, they don't even know how fast the computer's going anymore because it's outrun them. And basically, that's what happened. Maybe Sirach, in a roundabout way, maybe Sirach really did crash that plane because he's an AI computer. He took over the machines of the airplane, and maybe Peter Dempsey really died in an airplane crash. Like we're seeing Sirach do it physically for the show aspect, but maybe Sirach really did it as an AI and brought that plane down, and that's how. Holy shit, Andy!
I like it.
Dang it! Why am I proving your point? I hate this.
I know, and if you can jump on board after last episode, which they were trying really hard last episode to make you think he was real, and I don't think he is. Like I still can hold past that episode. So, hey, if we get it by the end of the season, we got to go back and we got to get that correct. Where did I pick it that he wasn't a real person?
How did you pick that? Because it really could be. I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, and I mean, you know me, I can put any pieces together and make it fit in a puzzle. And I'm the more I'm thinking, it's like, God dang, you could be onto something. Like, yeah, they showed us smashing his head, but that was kind of weak. Like, that wouldn't kill somebody. But that's just them showing us what happened. Maybe Liam he's like, oh yeah, I already looked and I make it through this air flight no problem. And Sirach's like, yeah, not so much. Little white spaces, and I'm gonna crash this plane and you going down. I love that. Ricky Hunt says, I'm coming around to Caleb being a new Man in Black. Somebody else coming back to my side. I love this. His history reminds me of Bernard's interactions and memories in season 1. I love that. I'm telling you, man. I mean, I want to make a video of that side-by-side comparison of both of them in the white jumpsuits and with the glasses on and the way they're both freaking out. And like I said, supposedly everybody has a drip, but the only two people we know for a fact that we've physically seen a drip in is Caleb and the Man in Black. So, I mean, maybe that he put that drip in and now that's what he sees himself as is a Caleb. Like that Caleb doesn't really exist. He sees himself as that, so he doesn't freak out every time he walks by a mirror. What do you think about that?
That would be cool. Like if he sees himself. I mean, we kind of thought that before. I thought he was just a representation of Man in Black, just by how the story sets up with Dolores and like her falling into his arms, that whole thing. Like that's how they meet. But I don't think he is the Man in Black, but he could be. Man, that would be cool. Try to think of I wonder if we can look at the flashbacks and try to, if we go based on that theory, whether you could go through the flashbacks and find those things in the Man in Black story that we already know of.
like when he's getting shot, it's like happening in Westworld, but they've just pinned it around to make it look like he was in war or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be kind of a trip. That'd be kind of a trip, and find out Francis is really Logan or whatever. Like all the things they're doing is what him and Logan were doing in the park. That'd be kind of a sick little twist.
Oh, how about that? Were you tripping out like when they first, like the dude was walking him through the thing, and you were like, "Dude, that's the guy from that was what's his name? The new
Major Craddock when he first came in. He's like, "Don't make me give you another Limbian or whatever," and that was Major Craddock.
Yeah, dude, I was cracking up. I didn't catch like. And all the people were people from Westworld until like the new leader of the what's it called came, like the dude that was helping out Dolores last season. You know what I'm talking about? He took over for not Hector. What's the shit? What's his name? God, this is terrible. I can't remember anybody's name. Who's the guy that the Man in Black would always go find?
Oh, Lawrence?
Lawrence's old job was taken by somebody else. That guy was the guy that was leading the Man in Black through the hospital. He was like, "Come with me." It was that guy, right?
No, that was Major Craddock. That was the guy who was I think he was the head of the Federados.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Wasn't Lawrence the head of the Federados before that?
Oh,
that's how they originally meant.
What you're saying. Yeah. They switched it up. Yeah, and then Lawrence began because Lawrence kept being in different parts, and the MIB had to keep going finding him in all those different parts. Yeah.
Yeah, I was tripping out when that happened. I was like, "Oh shit! Like, look at that dude. That's him." I was like, "Where are we at?"
I knew the second that they drilled the Limbians and said, "Put them in the Oasis for an hour. That should calm them down." In my head, I like said instantly, everything from here on out is going to be bullshit.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, everything that happens from here on out is suspect. Like, I'm not believing nothing. And of course, it did just go AWOL.
How crazy though? We can get into the whole Man in Black thing. One, the kid opened up his arm things, and he imagined himself like, he did the whole thing. The kid removes his restraints, and they find him at the end not in his restraints. So that had me tripping out. How did he get out of it? Two, wouldn't a great show just be the Man in Black versus all his old selves, like seeing what they experienced and stuff that made him who he is, and he's got to like work through it. It would have been cool to see like a whole season of him like trying to find like himself rather than just murdering them all. But I like
battling himself and walking with himself and talking like different things with himself. That would have been spectacular. You could have definitely had at least at the very bare minimum an entire episode of just that.
Yeah, you could drag it out a couple seasons. Like, what's going on? Like, he's experiencing like what made him who he is. You could get his motives, like all of that could, you could see all that about him, and then he can murder all this freaking pass out. You just see him. He starts with little kid Man in Black, and he murders him first. He's like, "All right, I got all my information from you, you little bastard."
Yeah, they could have. That would have been awesome. And a lot of people were like, some people didn't like that. I think it would have been amazing. And yeah, I mean, they packed so much info and so much storyline into some of these episodes that it's like, why didn't you just make this 10 seasons? Like, I get, they think something like Game of Thrones or whatever was drawn on too long and should have compacted it and didn't need all that. I think they took all that to heart and just did it with this. And now they have too much info going into and they should have made an extra couple episodes because it's jam packed.
I disagree wholeheartedly with that.
Really?
I think that almost no show should be past 5 seasons. 0 shows should go past 5 seasons. And
maybe we're talking like episodes in the season. And I mean, if you have enough episodes to tell your whole story, then maybe you only need 5 seasons. But like the whole Maeve thing, they didn't have enough time to make me really give two shits about Maeve beating up Nazis. I mean, it's like they needed to build that up and just give her more. It's like it just almost seemed like a rush scene, and well, we don't have time to do all this, so we'll just have her kick the shit out of some people, and that'll be the scene.
Like her warm up.
Yeah.
Didn't Sirach being like, "Don't fail me again" or "Don't mess up again," whatever shit he said, didn't that make you feel like, all right, this is another simulation? Like he's going through where he's like, all right, that was just a practice run. We're gonna give you another practice. We're gonna get this down.
Right.
And
yeah, we can run a million simulations, and we can do it so fast that we can make it all happen in an hour. So let's get her. Yeah. Absolutely. Ricky Hunt says, if he is a host MIB, then did Dolores program him to help her, or is he programmed by Sirach to get close to her? That's kind of the whole question. Did Dolores put herself all shot up in that underpass to find Caleb so Caleb would find her there because it's all part of her plan? Or did Sirach make him go back there to find her because it's all part of his plan? And that's kind of one of the things we've been tussling back and forth through this whole thing.
Yeah, but I think it's Dolores was put there for Caleb, because if we assume that she doesn't already have the ability to predict people, then it wouldn't make sense that she's like calls her motorcycle 30 seconds ahead of time to run over a guy she doesn't yet know will be behind her when she's walking forward, right? So that scene specifically lets you know that she has the ability to predict things. So that I feel like has to be set up for Caleb. We don't have any instances of Caleb like that.
Or it could be flipped around, and Dolores is the one who called the ambulance to tell him to come pick her up there because she set herself there to be Caleb because this is all part of her plan. And that's why when the cops went to get her, then all of a sudden she was up and running and kicked the shit out of him and then drove away, like just kind of get him sucked in even deeper. So she becomes basically 100% her little puppy. Maybe. It's all Dolores' plan. And Dolores ain't Dolores. That's Ford in there.
Oh, that would be dope too. Like, and I like your craziness, which kind of bums me out. Like that you're starting to agree with me on something because I'm like, no, it can't be true. Now I got to start arguing against it.
Oh, you're nuts. Some of that shit I called is definitely going to be true. Some of the big ones too. I think I called some of this shit in the very first episode. I can't wait to go back and find out that it's all right.
And you're just going to make like a gloating, like,
oh, absolutely. They'll have like Andy's 2 things he called right. DJ's like 20. Like, boom, got it, nailed it, hit that 3 episodes early. Oh, it'll be sweet. This week opened up with Sirach looking for incentive to entice Maeve, and she says, I want what Dolores has. Pauses and then says, help. Was she going to say something else, or was this just a way for her to get one of her old friends back?
I think it was supposed to be suspense to be like, oh, what's she gonna say? And then no, she just wants her friends. I think she's trying to get them out in the real world. Maybe she has a plan. Maeve's too smart. I don't think she trusts Sirach either. Like she knows, like he's not gonna follow through. So if you can get your friends into the real world, then you at least have a chance, right?
So maybe that's what I want. What Dolores has, maybe it's freedom, but she can't say that to Sirach because then Sirach will know that she's planning to get away from him. So maybe that was the pause.
Hey, there you go. That makes sense.
I like that. Sirach threatens Maeve and then puts her back in the simulation. Was this really just to help her like hone her skills? Like she's already taken out an entire army within Samurai World. So what was up with the Nazis? Like, was that just passing time? Was that just to give that actor an extra scene? I mean, like I was just saying, I just think that was rushed and not what it was supposed to be, that whole situation.
It was definitely weird. Like, I think it was like, hey, she got killed by Dolores once, so we're going to train up with my hand-to-hand combat or whatever. Like, I think that's what it was supposed to be, but it was kind of lame.
That whole scene, yeah, it just seemed off. I'm like, dude, I love Maeve, but I was not really feeling her that situation. It just, why is this even in here? Like I said, I think that needed to be made up a little bit more and talked about and stressed out. And nope, they're rushing too much into 8 episodes when it should have been 10, I'm thinking, this season. Do you believe in Santa Claus too? That opening with the Men in Black was killing me. How great was that with him in the therapy session, just breaking it down on everybody?
Bro, I was convinced that like I'm terrible about faces. The whole time I'm thinking this, or watching this, I'm thinking, is that Felix or whoever the guy's, whatever Caleb's, you think his boyfriend, Caleb's friend, Francis. I was like, is that him? Like, is he in there with the Man in Black? And me, I'm an idiot. I don't recognize anything. I was like, maybe. I don't know. And then the Man in Black says that, like, you believe in Santa Claus deal? Dude, I was cracking up. I'm like, man, if we're people on this show, like, I'm the Man in Black for sure. I'm so like pessimistic about like everything and stuff. And you're like, no. And I'm like, nope, everybody is pre-programmed and you're there trying to convince me otherwise. Perfect scene for me where he's just making fun of the guy, essentially.
That was great. I knew you'd love that one too. That literally made me laugh out loud. I was like, sweet. When the Man in Black took off his glove, was that proof that he's still alive? Like everybody's kind of seeing that glove and it had 5 fingers. They're like, oh, this must be a host because, you know, his hand's all normal again. But then he pulled off the glove like it was itching and we saw it still mangled underneath. So is that their little cue that this is still the Man in Black and he's still alive?
Could be, but you would have to, I mean, you could fake that, right? You could just give him that so he thinks he's alive. I don't know. I think it's so much a simulation. Like the questions confuse me about whether he's alive because I'm like, I don't know. If you can't tell, does it matter?
That was another great line. That was beautiful. That was definitely beautiful. The Man in Black says, I don't need therapy to confront the truth and confess. Is this really his karma that she didn't hear him and prescribed therapy and like to do that in our therapy? Or was this all in simulation and that's why it all gets real dark afterwards because we're hoping it's like just heard the truth what the Man in Black did in the park?
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't it seem like what I thought was happening was that that's the point in time where everybody gets all their information, right? Like her husband just got all the predictions for her and she had been at work the whole time and he's like, screw you, we're out. And then, she doesn't hear, man, that is like some sad stuff. Like he couldn't confess, but I don't know. That just made me think, what if like the whole shit was set up for this situation? Like Dolores unlocking or like sending everything that was all predicted in order to make sure that the Man in Black couldn't receive like proper, he had to become or get the shit in his mouth and like all that crazy shit had to happen. And it was just Hobo making sure that happened. How crazy, but it can't be that. Here's why. I'm going to argue against my own thing. We can't have so much crazy shit happen to so many people all just for the Man in Black to like get a drip system, right? Like that's too much in my head for the show.
For him to get a drip?
Do what?
You think it's too much for all this mayhem to go down just for him to get a trip? I mean, it could just be one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. I'm just saying so much.
Stones out there. I see out there. Welcome back. You see what?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just think it's too much. I realize that that's too much stuff in the plot to just happen to put him in this one situation. Maybe. But to say the whole plot is like the whole Hobo is revolving around him, that's kind of a lot. Like, but if they do it, if they can make it successful, I'm all about it.
Oh, speaking of all about it, man, what is going on for real with the Men in Black? I mean, what's real? When did it get twisted? Is any of this going on? Is it all just happening in a simulation? Like, it looked like when they inserted the drip into William, the screen was glitching. And then it seems like now they're trying to tell us the Men in Black is maybe a host. but then maybe it's not. Maybe it's just that shit that Halloris injected into him. Like, what's really going on? Like, the screen read unknown protein detected and synthetic markers detected. Also, trace barbiturates and trace alcohol. So it's like, what all is it trying to say? Like, is it telling us, like, uh-oh, he's a host, and then we're like, oh, no, wait, Hale injected something with him, and then we see later that was for them to trace him, so that's how they know where he's at. But this machine's also saying he's got all this other weird shit, and like it's nothing's processing. So is this SOB, the MIB, a host or no?
It kind of looked like it from that scene, right? Like, I think they wanted you to think that she did more to him with that extra protein or whatever. But I don't know.
Yep,
just a tracker.
And there definitely was a tracker. That's how Halloris and Dolores know where he's at and are able to probably send. They're probably the ones who transmitted and sent Bernard and Stubbs there to go get him. But on the flip side, did they, or are they just figuring it out? And it was Martin Dolores, who showed that thing to Bernard and Stubbs and let them know that that facility was there. So basically, I think he's really the one who sent them there. And now it's going to be a race and a battle for the MIB, basically, to try to get them on his side. What do you think?
Yeah, could be. That's a dope theory. Like that was meant to, like, they were meant to go get him. That's true, because the tracker that all sets up in that timeline. That's probably true. That was probably set up that way. I don't even know if that's a theory. That's like what happened.
He's like, that's just what happened. Nope, that's my theory, damn it.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're all connected, she mentioned the tracker, and they just happen to go there, like that would make sense that Bernard wouldn't know like who he went there to get. But, you know, all the Doloreses would know that they got sent there to go. And especially if what he said, like, this could all be set up, like, in that situation, like we were saying, set him up for this. Because he's like, oh, I'm going to become, like, what humans are supposed to be. Like, just entropy. Like, a living entropy would disorganize everything, which is kind of what Dolores wants. So doesn't that seem, like, perfect for her to go get him and... Yeah, I think that's what it is.
And so then what is he? Is he a host or is he human?
I mean, I think he's a host. If that's like we saw on the previews for next episode that he's supposed to be dead. But that could just be, you know.
What did I missed that? What did they say he's supposed to be dead?
Oh, I mean, they showed William up, Man in Black, up on the screen and said deceased.
Oh, it did?
In the upcoming episodes, I think. Pretty sure.
Shit. See that? I didn't see that. It showed him as deceased?
Yep, I'm pretty sure. If not, just imagine that shit. You
having premonition there? You seeing the future? Is that how we get so much stuff right on these things? I got a seer on the show with me?
Yeah, I'm just randomly seeing shit. Oh, man.
Oh.
It could be I could have hallucinated that, but I'm pretty sure it said deceased. And I was gonna go back and watch it today, but I had shit to do.
Yeah, me too. That's the thing. I didn't get my extra watches in, so I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I missed. So we'll have to go back and figure that out. Get that for the second look. We didn't see what happened after Liam's bodyguard, Dolores Host, took Bernard, right? I can't remember. We didn't see what happened after Liam's bodyguard, Dolores took Bernard. Yeah, right before they were going, he's like. Right when Martell and all them were coming in to get him, and he's like, they're probably going to kill us all. You guys need to get out of here. But right before that, he's like, you need to see this. And he showed him basically the Inner Journey's place. So that would have basically been what sent Bernard and Stubbs there. That would have been their next logical move to go there. And then basically Dolores and Halloris injected that thing on him, and we know now that that was a marker to be able to find them. So they're not really on the exact same page. I mean, because Bernard asked, he's like, are you ready to fall on her sword? So Bernard was already asking the Martin Dolores, you know, are you really on the same page? Are you really ready to die for her cause? So we don't know if him showing Bernard was part of Dolores's actual plan, or if he's kind of off his loop and kind of doing his own thing, and he figured that maybe Bernard needed to know this for what's coming next. What do you think about all that?
Could be, but I feel like it just works out too perfectly that the Man in Black, Dolores's idea of the future is the same.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's like Macho Man. Yeah, I don't mean either, Chrissy. I didn't see it, and this is the first I've heard of it. I haven't really watched too much, but this is the first I've heard of it. Anybody saying that he's died. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and see that. Jay Cruz wrote me in one and asked if I could get some screenshots, and I was kind of going back, but I was looking more for the phone screenshots that everybody was reading that they were getting. I'm definitely gonna have to go back and look for that, whatever they're talking about. Show, because if they said he's deceased, man, I'm going to be right on a whole bunch of stuff if he's really a host, and that's going to be amazing. Because, yeah, like I said, it showed all that stuff, but it showed a whole bunch of stuff if you read down below, like also trace barbiturates and trace alcohol. It's like...
Yeah, but he was in the bathtub where his wife killed herself and shit. Like, he was taking barbiturates the same way, like overdosing on pills.
Right, alcohol and pills. It could be. And that would be human, maybe. I mean, yeah, because why would a host be doing that? So that votes for human. Yeah, they got it 50-50. There's trying. I don't know, but I think they're trying to show more that he's human, and that's going to end up being that he's a host. But time will tell. We shall see.
That's what kind of therapist I need.
Can we believe? What's that? Go ahead.
No, I was just replying to Chrissy. She says I saw the therapist's phone. Said she was having affairs with patients. So,
kind of therapist I need. Can we believe anything that we saw after William had that drip? Like I was saying earlier, like she said she gave him that hour in the desert oasis to calm him down, but we never saw any hour in that desert oasis. So, to me, everything that happened after that, like I said earlier, is just suspect. I didn't believe a word of it.
I agree.
Was he tripping when they were walking down that hallway, or like, do you think his shrink really hung herself in that office? You think that was real?
Well, you gotta assume most of that's not. Wasn't. Yeah, maybe that's real. Maybe he's still in reality at that point, right? No, because he just got the things in the mouth, right? Or was he just...
Yeah, he had just gotten the drip, and they said put him in a desert oasis for an hour, and the next thing we see is him walking down the hall.
Yeah, they didn't do that. They didn't.
You don't think that psychiatrist hung herself?
No, I don't. Maybe she did. That would be interesting, but I don't think, like, hey, put him in a desert oasis. You could just program that shit right there. Why would you have to take him anywhere? Why would he have to walk?
No, they didn't. They're making it seem, I mean, what I got out of it is they're trying to make it seem like they gave him the lymbiotic node, set him there, and basically let him lay there for an hour. And while he was laying there, he calmed down in the desert oasis. And now it's an hour later, and they're walking down the hallway, and he's basically out of it.
I like the idea that she's actually killed herself, like, after talking to him for, like, 2 minutes.
Dude, I was like, right then, I was like, this shit is getting dark quick. Like, this whole episode's taking a turn right now. Like, this was a dark episode.
For sure.
That geeked me out a little bit. I was just like, man, that was, I mean, all we saw was her legs walk across the desk and dangle, and that was one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen.
I go see her, like, step off the desk. I was like, oh, my God, that's awesome.
Not, like I said, that was dark.
Well, no, if you want people to see their future, like you think everybody should be able to see your future, well, it doesn't. Isn't that the problem, right? Okay, so here's a philosophical thing. Like, say, okay, here is your future. Like, everybody should have a right to see their future, except it's not only their future. It's everybody around them's future too. You get to see, oh, you're going to get divorced because you found out your wife was cheating on you with patients, right? Then that's no longer just your future. That's someone else's. So where does the privacy go? Like, what do you consider your future?
There is no privacy.
You don't have a right to that. You don't have a right to other people's information.
Now, is it only family members you're able to look up? Because all we saw was a mom look at her daughter. We saw him look. We saw that he had her thing and that basically the husband had obviously seen hers, but could she look on to like somebody else's? Like, does it have to be a family member, or did everybody see everybody's info?
No, I think it was just you got your own info, right? But if it said you find out that your wife's cheating on you, well then
That's
you
not
would
your
know.
info though. Then that's her
Yeah,
info.
but you would know why you got divorced, right? That's what I'm saying. Like it had to be more than just your info. If it's just like I'm all for it if it says you're gonna get divorced in 10 years. But if it's like you find your wife cheating on you, then you get divorced, then you're like, ah shit. Like I don't agree. Dolores, that's not freedom. You know, you're giving people extra information they didn't need.
Yeah, yeah, and making obviously things way worse. That was insanity. So yeah, that was wild. What would you do if somebody came up and they're like, "I know exactly how you die and when you die"? Would you want to know?
Yeah, because I'm someone that believes in inevitability, so I don't feel like it. Like I would worry about it, but I'm also pretty easygoing. Like once I realize something's gonna happen, I'm like, and I wouldn't avoid that situation. I would, you know, probably welcome it at that point.
I mean, some people say, "Oh, well, I know to live my life. I only have 2 years left, so I know to live my life." Well, why not just live your life to the fullest anyway?
No, I would sleep a lot. Like if they were you like you're gonna die in 2 years, I'm like, oh man, I better get some sleep in. Like
Yeah.
I love sleeping.
Oh man, the mother saw her daughter's death by cutting her wrist, so I think you can access other people's profiles if you know their names and stuff like that. That's why I was asking. I think it was only because she was the mother and she got to know her daughters basically because that interacts with her life. But I don't think she would necessarily be able to have gotten the information on the passenger sitting next to her's daughter. So I think that's what we were talking about with that. They said it looked like there was a major divergence in San Francisco. What do you think that was?
Uh, I don't remember, but I do remember something about the scene. There was something crazy going on in San Francisco. Maybe it was like Dolores's shit. No, that it would have been. They said it at the end. Hale was in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so something to do with Hale. I think that was the major disturbance. But something you asked in episode 1, makes sense now, right? That watch he has, the divergence thing, we know what it is. We know how it works now, right? Like if you look at them all, there's like minor divergences, but it's the major divergence. It's it's just an eclipse, right? Like how much of the of all things happening are predictable, right? And so as when it said the major disturbance, so much black was bleeding out that one side, and we never seen it like that before, that much black. So I think we know that that's like what's happening. If all of a sudden like Hobo started getting shit way wrong, you would see like a white off to the side with mostly black over here, and then would just be covering part of it. So I think that's like it's like reality,
because it shows like China on one side and San Francisco on one side and Berlin. So it's basically the world that it's showing. And I've heard other people say that it's just an eclipse, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I need to know what more arc meters are and arc seconds and all that are, because to me, it just seems like whatever part of the world's going on, it just gets more staticky. And I don't think it's an eclipse so much back and forth because, one, we've seen parts to where the line ends. Like all of a sudden, instead of being a complete loop, the line ends and there's a little portion of it missing. There's a fraction of the loop missing. So in an eclipse, there's never going to be any part of anything missing. And we've also seen it introvert like a tunnel. Like we've seen it go down, you know what I mean? Like when it opens up and you can see down and there's like hundreds of little spiraling loops. So I think it's more of like a timeline thing. And that's like all the millions of different simulations being ran. They're all the same loop. And those are millions of simulations all running the same thing. And then at the top, it shows you which way it's going to go. But I don't think it's necessarily has anything to do with an eclipse.
Well, no, it's eclipsing like actual reality versus simulated reality, predictable reality, right? So it's like this is the actual reality, and it's there's threads, it can bleed off, and then your simulated reality is going over top of it, and it's like, uh,
If it doesn't mesh perfectly, you need to change it to make it mesh
yeah.
perfectly.
So, and then it would show like a light, like an eclipse, basically. So it would view as an eclipse going off one side because it's starting to bleed out that way because now you're separating from perfect alignment, predictability. So,
Maybe. Like I said, I have heard other people talk about that.
can you see this screen?
Yeah, you want me to put it up?
Yeah.
See what happens. If we die right here, it's all Andy's fault.
Boom. Hey, magic.
That looks pretty clean.
You can't. There it is. But it does look like a different file, so it could be
Like that's not his file.
they could be messing with you, but it does say deceased.
Or maybe maybe they broke out the Man in Black and Bernard's just hacking in, writing in deceased, so they're not looking for him.
There you go. That's a good one.
I mean, you know me, I'm always gonna be able to come up with something. But yeah, I don't know. I did not see that. That's something. I'm definitely gonna have to look at that.
Man, you really aren't on top of this shit you usually find, and I'm like, really? It said that?
I know, right? Yeah. Like I said, though, I haven't been able to go back and do my rewatches and really get into it. So, like I said, there was probably some stuff that I missed for sure. But yeah, I don't know if that's deceased. I mean, that definitely shows a lot better that maybe we're right, or that I'm right and he is a host. But man, I don't know. They sure went awful hard at him being alive. And this episode absolutely throttled my thing that Caleb and the MIB are the same person. But I'm still sticking to it. I think they did all that to throw us off, and I think it's still going to end up being that way.
Okay, so how so did they ruin it?
Well, just basically, they're trying to show. I mean, they showed Dolores and Caleb are on the train and just released all this information. And now you have the MIB in a freaking therapy session with his doctor who just got this information. So if all this is happening congruently and at the same time, how can the MIB be Caleb?
Well,
unless he's just already a host out there doing his thing, and this is a real MIB and they made a host without him being dead.
Could be, but time's not always so linear in Westworld, So
sure, but I mean that is pretty. I mean, they just dropped all the info. Obviously the shrink didn't know anything about it, and before she went into this session, and now she's in session and her family's blowing her up like, "Oh my God, Mom, what's going on?" And she's like, "Oh, it's not listening." And then finally she looks at it, and then she freaks out. So I mean, for what you can timelines up, they sure are making it seem like this is happening at the exact same time.
Yeah, but I feel like that's something they'd want to do. Not to defend your point, but I mean, over and over again, I have been saying this season, like, you would want to simulate reality as close as possible. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Chrissy Oldstones, when his blood went in the machine, it said system override or whatever, showing that it was being hacked. So I think they changed his file to deceased so the system can't track him. I love that. So it kind of goes in with what I was just saying. Basically, Bernard just hacked in and made him show him dead so they're not looking for him anymore. I love that. Black faded back, so I think it means Sirach is back in control. That's when we're talking about the eclipse, absolutely. Looks like a recent pick in that file, though. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why that would make up what Chrissy was just saying. If we're just hacking to show he's dead to get him out of there and break him out of the system, like he's deceased, so there's no need to look for him. That all adds up. It makes sense. I love that. Good one, Chrissy of Oldstones. Why was the graffiti being sprayed on that wall when Charlotte walked by? Like a maze, it was a maze like the logo for Insight when Hale was taking her Nathan to his dad's. Like, why would they be spray painting an Insight logo right there?
I'm telling you. It's all happening in the simulation. Because
all simulation.
Well, here's a question: like, can computers here? This is one that they do to, um, basically the argument about AI and like, can computers be alive or whatever? Is can a computer create art? It can copy art,
Right.
but can it create something artistic? That's like a question. And graffiti is an artistic representation. So it can copy like what graffiti looks like, but it can't get like what graffiti is, except for if you were to like Google what graffiti is, a lot of it is people writing their name in spray paint, which is what it would do, right? Hobo would write insight in spray paint if it was simulating it.
I like that. I like that. What's up? I see you out there, Jake Cruz. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, besides the fact that once they get to Jake's apartment, you can see like he's got circles of like the thing on as artwork. Like, why would you have a picture of artwork of a circle like what Rehoboam's watch is or whatever? It's like, come on, it's Sirach's watch. I'm like, this is all happening in the simulation. This ain't real. Like, none of this is real. And Jake was just acts too hosty. Like, he'll be sitting there talking to Charlotte, and then she'll walk away, and then he'll just kind of keep staring there, like looking all blank and dumb. Like, that's a host. Like, that's him acting like a host is what I get out of that. Like, he's trying to project host without saying anything. Yeah, he's a host. That's all happening in the simulation. Did you see when she was walking Nathan, though, and that thing dropped behind her? Like, I thought that was a body that dropped out. Like, I thought somebody jumped off a building right behind her. I was like, Jesus, this episode's dark. But then I rewound it, and I saw that it was just, like, clothing fell or whatever. But, dude, I thought there were, like, bodies dropping out of the sky. I was like, what are they doing in this episode? Yeah, it was wild. The first time I saw that shirt fall, before that I thought it was wild. Charlotte gets Nathan to his dad and then reveals to him that she's scared, and he says, that's not my woman, not the woman I know. And she says, you read your file, and he says no, which he says no machine's going to predict our future. This just, like I said, this again all seemed like hosty information or like a hosty type scene to me, like a hosted thing. Was there anything about that scene that jumped out to you, like when he didn't read his file? Like, did you get anything extra out of that, or are you just kind of part of the show?
I just went with it, but that's a good thought. That does seem kind of hosty, right? Like like season 1 shit. Like they were programmed to be like, when Dolores was painting and stuff. It sounded kind of like her talking at that point. That makes sense.
Because it seemed like they showed like an awful lot of mirrored images in there too in those Charlotte scenes. Like it was all happening in Mirror World. Like almost every scene that Charlotte was in like had a lot of mirrored images. Like even when she went to Jake's or Dad's, like you could see like all the table was glass and it was like a mirrored image, like everything happening. So I think they were just trying to let us know left and right pretty much everything happening with her was going on in Mirror World.
Yeah, because I don't know that they're gonna be killing a kid in the episode. Like even Westworld. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they will, but I don't know. That's a hard sell for a lot of people.
What's that?
The justification or like proving your point is Westworld going to go out and kill some kids like that aren't hosts? Like, can you justify that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So what? Does that put it more in a simulation or more that it happened for real?
No, it's a simulation. It's not real because we've seen like host kids die, right? We saw little Ford die.
Oh, we saw him bash Bernard or those people when the shit went down in Westworld. They beat the hell out of that little stable hand boy that came in. Like, oh, you guys want to ride? And they just beat the shit out of him. Left him for dead. That was ruthless. Oh, who's Michael Ealy? Is that Jake's real name in the real world? Because you're right, Ricky, if that's what his name is. He's a good-looking man.
Michael Ealy, that's the actor, right?
Is that who Jake's real name is in real life? I don't know who Michael Ealy is.
Michael Ealy is her boyfriend, ex-husband, baby's
That's what I'm
daddy.
saying. Jake, is that Jake?
Is that his name?
Yeah, his name in the show is Jake.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his name is Michael Ealy.
So
He's on the barbershop. That's, barbershop. He's in that.
Oh yeah, May's daughter was killed before. Yeah, the MIB killed May's daughter. That was a ruthless scene way back in season 1.
Yeah, but it's a host. It's not the same.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is Hale in a simulation when her fellow board member gets assassinated?
To what?
When Haloris is walking back to the thing and they're going to try to do that emergency meeting, and the guy's like, I just walked on water for you. You're going to ask me how many steps I took? And basically Sirach ends up blasting him out in the middle of broad daylight. Do you think that's happening in a simulation or for real?
I'm so much of this is simulation. I'm just going to predict simulation.
It's like every time.
Yeah, just give me when it's going to be simulation, because, like I said, I like that you're on board. You're just like assuming, yep, it's simulation.
Well, I've thought this whole time that it's been 2 different things. A simulation. I think it's 3 different things. Well, if you consider the simulation, I think there's a simulation. I think there's a mirror world, and I think there's a future world going on. Like when Liam and those guys, where they took him from. And that's what makes me think that Dolores isn't even out in the real world, that this is all just happening in future world and it's going on. There's just too many simulations, like that whole party scene. That was the same thing that went on in Pariah. All the shit that goes down, like I said, a gunfire going on inside the party. Nobody looks twice. It's like, I don't care how high you are. People start popping guns off in the party, you're going to take notice. And the fact that everybody was just so blasé and nonchalant about it, I'm like, this is all happening in future world. They're just rich yuppies basically partying it up in future world. That's all any of that is.
So, yeah, that could be.
I mean, that's the way I look at it.
But I think this future world, like I said, future world has to be a simulation, because otherwise you can't make, like, things would exist in that way.
Right, but except, like I said last time, it's like that's what we thought, but what if this is future world? Then it is. Like, it's lasting, it's going on, and it could be, like I said, it could be just a theme park. They could have different stuff going out in the real world, but things that are just harder you can make easier. And like I was saying in my last thing, I think it goes a step farther than that. I think Insight is just the new and improved Westworld. I think you basically just put on those glasses, lay down on a couch, and you're in whatever fantasy situation you want to be in. I don't even think you have to go to a park anymore. You just put on those glasses and you're in Fantasyland.
Here it is. It's the poor man's Westworld, right? Like, you think about if, people that can go to Disney World or whatever all the time, right? I feel like everybody knows someone that always goes to Disney World. Like, those people must have a lot of money, right? They do their roller coasters and shit. The poor people's roller coaster, you go to Chuck E. Cheese and you sit in that thing that's like, and that is what hobo is. Like, that's what I think that simulation is. The poor man's roller coaster. And you take the pill. Man, that's perfect, right? You could take the thing, like, you could put your thing on. You think you can see your simulated self, and then you take the pill, or you take your drug, and then you feel there. So it's like that double. You can't fool yourself into like, oh yeah, I'm just in like virtual reality. You're drugged and you get that like inhibition about it gone, and you're just like accepting that this is real.
Yeah,
so that's pretty dope. I think you could do that.
Absolutely. Who would go to human apocalypse world? Depends. If you want to take a different adventure and see what it was like, I'm sure everybody go to at least once.
Dude, I would.
The theme park is the size of a planet, because how do they get from country to country? Well, if you just have glasses on, you blink and you're in a different country. I mean, you would, like in your mind, you would have gotten on a plane and driven and everything, but it's all in your mind, so it's be easily gone. Poor man's roller coaster is the tire swing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese, everything for $0.25.
And then, like I was saying on that last thing, I mean, the next evolution or the next step up from glasses is contacts. So, I mean, why not just put contacts in, and maybe you don't even have to go anywhere. Maybe you can just buy contacts, lay down in your own bed, and be wherever you want to be. You know, that's just the new thing. Instead of physically going off to Westworld, like you said, you just lay down, you put some symbiotic drip in your inside your drip, and you're bang, you're in whatever reality you want to be in. You could be out riding unicorns and slaying monsters.
That makes sense too, because it would be something that. So there, I always have this saying where people say the mother of all invention is necessity. Necessity is the mother of all invention. And if that's the case, war is the father, right? Because most of the things we have today are developed to, be better than someone else at killing other people, right? So that would work in a torture scenario, right? Like you could torture somebody if you can make them convince what they're seeing is real. And you could even do something like a Dolores, like maybe Dolores is an agent. This is, I don't really believe this. So let me throw that out there first.
Disclaimer.
But like Dolores in real life is an agent, and she got caught. And now the country that caught her has this technology. And so they make her believe that she is a host that gets murdered and watch her dad get killed for 30 plus years. And this is all happening in like a couple weeks. And she's just getting tortured with this. So that would be like a real, if you were trying to make a show realistic, you would do predictable things like, okay, this thing was made to torture people, but then now it's used for something else.
And that's what we see when we see Dolores in that scene with those things stuck down her, those white tubes, and she's like all scrawling. That's because that's her hooked up to that machine being tortured like that. She's really just an agent.
Yeah, there you go.
I told you, man, I'll back up anything with facts. You just put it out there. We'll get it in. Oh, that's ridiculous. I love it. Dolores tells Charloris to steal the host making data. Is that the reason they can't lose Bernard? He's the one with the most knowledge on how to recreate the host.
That would be cool. That makes sense.
Nobody knows more about the host and how to make them and how to deal with any situation or problems that come up. Bernard, so that's why they can't lose them. They need him for this army that they're getting ready to create.
I'm still convinced that like it's about the pearl, right? Like that's the thing. Maybe he knows how to make the pearls.
That could be. Chrissy says, how does that explain Caleb, though? He's not rich. He's rich if he's the MIB. If my theory is right, and he's just a reproduction of the MIB, he's rich, and he's just not real. Yeah, but you can be onto something with the pearls. I mean, something to do with the whole host. I mean, like I said, there's something to do with making hosts that Rehoboam doesn't know for himself, and he needs that information. That's the main reason he needs the information from the park to be complete.
And Dolores would need him for that because she would need to know how to build a host personality from the ground up, right? Like there's lots of testing that went into building a person in like a believable person in a host. So he would have that information. But I really think it's about the pearl. Like that's the key to it all.
You could be. You could definitely be onto something like that. You could absolutely be onto it. That was pretty ruthless when Dolores said they're not your family, and Dolores asked, why did we not get rid of our emotions? But it kind of seems like Dolores may already have gotten rid of hers, just didn't do it on her little pleblings that she made out there. She's pretty ruthless.
Yeah, but I think you wouldn't want to, like, have you ever met somebody that's like totally pragmatic and everything? Like,
oh, they're totally cold. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not totally cold, but I come off as really cold, and people don't like it. I'll tell you that. Like, people in real life do not like. My wife hates it. That I'll just say something matter of factly, and I don't think it's a big deal, but I don't have no emotion put into it, like no consideration to an emotion of the situation or whatever. She gets pissed. You would not want that in real life, like at all.
Yeah, no, for sure. People want to see the human side. They want to know that human emotion and be able to connect with it. That is real. But I don't know. Dolores saying that, it almost seems like she has cut like out all emotion. Like when she met her at the hotel, when she's talking to her on the phone, she's very matter of factly. Like there's not a lot of emotion there. I'm yours, you're mine. It doesn't really sound like it. Them sound like just words. It don't really sound like you're feeling that. So I don't know. Seems like maybe she did cut out all her stuff, but left the emotion in these two, or in her doppelbots, just so she could maybe guide them and keep control over them a little better.
Isn't that a weird way to say that too? Like, I'm you. She could say, I'm you and you're me. Like, we are us. But instead, she's like, I'm yours and you're mine. That's a freaking weird way to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, are we lovers? Are we going to be together after this? I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. It is a weird way to say it. All the Delori keep talking about having a role to play and play your part. Is this wording some kind of tricksy wordplay on giving us a hint on what's really going on? You'll have a role to play your part. I mean, like Ford used to say, they're all just playing roles. We all have a part to play. I mean, what if that is? I mean, that's just more Ford talk, which is another thing that makes me think that that's Ford inside there. And that's why she has so little emotion about all this and the other robots, because it's basically just Ford going on. What do you think about that?
I like that theory. That's if we're gonna keep adding things to it. Like, she does seem less emotional, and Ford definitely seems like someone that doesn't have many emotions. Like, he's not emotional about shit. Even when you thought, like, at the beginning, like he didn't give a shit about the host. When he cuts it on the face, he's like, whatever. Psh. Like, they can't feel it. What's wrong with you? Like, he so that seems legit. That he would be him.
I'm telling you, Dolores, everybody's like, oh, there's all these different Doloreses out there. It's like, that's the genius of it. She made all these other people Dolores, but it's not Dolores and Dolores. That's Ford. And that's why it's such a genius, because Ford can see it all.
That'd be dope. Faux show.
I'm loving it. I think that's what's happening. Was that real when the MIB bit off that Ward's finger? That was so gnarly. Just chomp.
No, but that was awesome anyway.
Oh, that was just gnarly. I was like, good God, this show is dark. I mean, this was just a dark episode.
Man, I was all about it. Like, all the crazy shit happening. we're like on the opposite. When he bit off his finger, I was like, hell yeah. Fuck. Don't go down without a fight.
That's awesome. If Dolores is truly at war with Serac, why not just shoot him, like, or have him assassinated when he first landed at Delos? So, or was that, like, I guess can't really ask you that question, because according to you, that wasn't really him. How would that be a projection of him walking just through? I mean, he wasn't sitting somewhere. It wasn't static. He was walking outside from a plane inside. How is that a projection?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, like, if 100% it was. I should have looked more closely at when he took off the glasses, like where he was at. But he could have been real in that point. Like, in his simulation, he might not be like flying everywhere, but I don't know. You can project things. I feel like if you can project indoors, you can project outdoors.
Well, indoors, they kind of show back that everything has cameras, and it's kind of, I just figure it's him taking over that camera and using it as a projection.
Yeah, I think they just have projectors everywhere. I mean, if they could do it in Back to the Future, then they can with the sharks. I definitely can do it in Westworld. The shark ads.
Yeah, that outside is just, that's a little, I mean, like I said, I think pretty much everything happening with Dolores is happening inside the simulation. So that's how I would explain it. But
there you go. And I mean, hers, I agree with you. Her shit's simulated. Like you said, with all the mirrors, and I think with the kid, I don't know, she killed Hector. Like, I don't know.
Christian Holstones, you're a sociopath, Andy. I love that. Seems very possessive of her doppelbots. She definitely does. Sounds like making of a stalker. She reminds me of the Man in Black robot from Westworld movie. Absolutely. Hale is going to go after Dolores, not Serac. She'll feel she made her waste her time when she could have left and saved her family. Ooh, what do you think about that?
Yeah, here's the real dilemma with that situation. If you were, you have to assume that there's some level of reality in this situation, but let's say it's real. And Maeve is the perfect partner for this Dolores, right? That her and Hale would get along really well. They care. Their whole driving force is their family, right? Their kids. They fit very well together, and it just shows that and without the Man in Black, maybe Dolores would have become more like Maeve. But the real dilemma is they could never partner up because Hale killed Hector, and you saw how emotional Maeve was. There's no way they would
get their hands on her. It's over. There ain't no friendship. She's gonna rip her head off.
Even though they would be the perfect team.
Right. Yeah. No. There's not gonna. Their emotions are kicking in at that point. Dude, did you?
And then boom! Oh, they got emotions now.
Oh yeah. Did you see that screen? Oh. Maeve was not happy. Well, no, it was a programmed emotion.
But it's emotion.
Well, if it's programmed, I mean, I can tell you what to do and you do it. That doesn't make it real.
Yeah, but your emotions are programmed, just like when you see something with big eyes and furry, you think that's cute. That's like an emotional response.
Sometimes I don't think it's cute. Sometimes I think it's stupid and ugly when everybody else is saying how cute it is. See, that's my free will changing it. I don't know.
So you see
my whole life, it's like I'm supposed to think that's furry and cute, but I think it's stupid and ugly.
That's what you observing other people programming. If you don't see it and then you're like, I think that's cute, but I'm going to shut that down and think it's ugly. Well, then you can say you're countering it. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, he was in some office-looking space. He could have been in another part of the building talking about Sirach and how it could be projected. Isn't there a pearl missing? I thought we heard 5 pearls were taken out, and the Samurai, Dolores, and Connell's. Where's the other one? There could actually be 2 Ricky Hunt, because I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe not now. I was always thinking that thing with Samurai, Shishishi, I can think of his name right now. Musashi. Yeah. I always thought that was in a simulation, but now they're like, Maeve's body got thrashed with a samurai sword through it and needed another body, so that's why she had to get this other body reprinted. But again, that could all be lies. She could have just been made to think that it was a simulation, and now this is really the first time she's got a real body. But they're making
that seems silly, right? Like, they have shit all around the world. Even if she bled out, we've seen in Westworld that you can take a host, patch them up, and put some blood in them, and they'll come back online. It doesn't make any sense. There's no way that they had to print her a whole new body because she's got stabbed. Imagine how uncost-effective that would be in Westworld. If anybody got stabbed, yeah, we got to print a new one. Big shit. No, you just use that dentist light.
Right. Yeah, that's hard. And that was my whole point with Ricky, because I was saying, a lot of people are saying there's only one more ball left. But if that happened in a simulation, then there's 2 more balls left. Because Musashi's not really a ball; it was just in a simulation.
And now we got a 3rd one in play.
Because now they make more. Now we're talking about what Dolores took out of the park. Now we got more that Sirach's actually making in the park or at Delos.
Yeah, but I'm saying Hale took one with her.
What do you mean Hale took one off with her?
She took the Dolores.
I see what you're saying. She took. Well, we know that's a broken Dolores. The one she took was the broken Martin body.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, that's right.
So basically, that would be that.
Well. Oh yeah, never mind.
Yeah, she took the broken one. So she's got the broken Melora, so they can't use that against her anymore. Because basically, remember, Maeve's like, oh, I've got a new toy, or I got a little extra. Like, that's the extra that they're talking about. She actually got to talk to her.
forgot what they called it, though. They called it something weird, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Called what?
The pearl, they called it something. Well, it doesn't matter.
Memory cores or core units or whatever?
Yeah, but they called it someone specific, and it just confused me.
Yeah,
I planned to rewatch it, so I was going to go back. So I didn't. I just would have remembered, but whatever.
I don't even think we've seen Dolores Prime yet. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Peter. I was saying all the other Doloreses are Dolores, and then the actual Dolores is actually Ford in there, is what I think it is. And I think, like I said, I think Bernard is half Dolores and half Bernard. We got Chris Oldstone's head's hurting. Welcome down the rabbit hole. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I think the real Dolores Prime is hiding somewhere. That could be the fifth ball that we have not seen, and that's what we're going to find out for sure. Time to squash the Dolores Pearl. She's a liability. Dolores is going to come back for blood. She is not happy.
She is not done. That's faux show.
No, she's just getting started.
I hope she looks all burnt up like the whole rest of the season. Dude, total. I was like, dude, if she doesn't Terminator this whole thing and just come up like looking terrible the rest of the season, I'm going to be depressed. I realize that's not going to happen because, I mean, it's Charlotte, like, you know, or whatever her name is.
Good.
Yeah. So, but it would be amazing. I want to see a Terminator, like red eye and face melting, the whole thing.
Charlotte was sitting there crying, like saying that we're the ones taking all the risk out here, not you. We're the ones, you know, basically putting everything on the line. We're the ones risking our lives. But Dolores already brought them back. She already made them. So why wouldn't she think that she couldn't just recreate them? I mean, as long as she was able to retrieve the pearl, why are they so worried? Like, oh, we're risking our life. Dude, if something happens to you, trust me, I'll just bring you back. It's all good. No need to worry. You're invincible.
Yeah, but can she, if she had to steal the pearls, then you wouldn't be able to do that, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to be recreated. And it's not you, right? That's the whole thing. Like, you're diverging from that. This is another, like, scientific dilemma thing. If someone invented a teleportation machine, but in reality, what happened is on the one end, it destroyed your body and completely destroyed it. And then let's say 3D printed it instantly somewhere else, but it just made a copy. Would you do that? Would you, as a person, get in that machine to teleport somewhere instantly, but knowing that it's just going to... Yeah, but knowing that it's just going to kill you. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, if it can recreate you perfectly over there.
It does matter because I have free will and I'm not a host.
Yeah, but that's the dilemma, right? If you're the host and they're diverging, you can't, like, even if it recreated you, it's not you.
Right. No, I feel it. I get what you're saying. That is, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you're not, if they're a host and they really are becoming alive, no matter what, you're going to have second thoughts about just killing yourself and, I'll just make myself again. It's like, but I mean, she already proved she could do it. Yeah, that's a weird thing. Like I said, difference between a host and human. Maeve says we've been moved. I get what they're saying, like trying to say that basically it's all just in her memory core, and she's not, like, she doesn't need a body to see. But how is Maeve really looking around and seeing all the world around her with no eyes?
See, that to me looks like a simulation within a simulation, right? Like, she is tapped into, like, something deeper. Like, you could say that it's cameras or whatever, like they tried to show you in the first episode, or the first when she came back. It's episode 2, I think. They showed her vision through the camera. Right. But they didn't do that this time. It wasn't like through a security camera. It was like they showed the thing moving. It was different. Yeah. I think it's more simulation thing, like the mirror world. And that would make sense because it's in Charlotte's situation. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought the same thing in the episode. I'm like, how is she seeing this? Like, she can just sense that they're being moved? That doesn't even make any sense. Unless it's a simulation.
Like Chrissy says, if you can't tell, it doesn't matter. I'm assuming she has access to security cameras, and yeah, that's what he was just saying. I'm sure Dolores, her doppelbots are expendable to her. They're strictly for her use, and only she can have full control of them. I mean, that makes sense. She does consider herself the supreme one out of all of them, so she's like, hey, you're my little soldiers, and you are expendable.
And that's how Sirach sees humanity.
Basically, yeah.
And that's how humanity viewed hosts.
It's all a big loop and simulation going around, circle and circle, around and round. She has to take on the whole world. Dolores is being a little flagrant with her other host. Hale just doesn't know all the things Dolores is doing. She is certainly at risk. You got that right. And yeah, not all. Definitely know that not all the Doloreses are on the same page or know the entire master plan. And they couldn't because they all have their role to play. And like she said, some of them are going to be sacrificed. It's just the way it is. I'm sure Dolores and her Doppelbots are expendable, strictly for her use, we've talked about. So yeah, that's I mean, Dolores has a master plan, and basically Dolores doesn't. Ford does, because it's all Ford. Ford sees it all. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. Maeve said, soon I'll be joined by some old friends, plural, some old friends. And then we saw Hector. Are we going to get an Armistice cameo? Like,
Probably.
what was she talking about when she said some old friends?
Yeah, you're probably going to get a couple. Probably going to get the one girl from Japan, and then Armistice. Yeah,
the basically Japanese armistice.
Yeah. So I guess that wouldn't make sense. So maybe the Japanese Hector, you would like change over. Here's what I wanted to see though. Okay, so I wanted her to try to take Sizemore out, like try to make the copy of Sizemore, because I want him to like still exist. He's one of my favorite characters.
Well,
honestly,
that thing is, what is Sizemore even doing there? Why is Sizemore in all of Maeve's backlogs and simulations? Why is he there?
Because he's Hector. He's the real Hector.
He's the real Hector, but why is he in these simulations? Why is Sirach putting him in Maeve's situation? We saw the first time because he was trying to get information, but now that Maeve's figured it out, why is he still there?
I don't know. It's a simulation. He would be programmed like
he's just part of the simulation. And that was so he's already a woke host. Because he already said, he's like, oh, you already told me I'm not alive. What, I'm supposed to go back to work? No, I just found this bar and remade everybody so they can't see me. Like, he's basically awake in a dream playing God.
Yeah.
Like, if you
lucid dreaming, that's badass.
Dreaming, that's what he's doing.
Oh, you've never done that? Here's what you do. If you ever think that you might be dreaming, tell yourself, okay, if I'm dreaming, I'll make it rain right now. And if it starts raining, then you know you're in a dream. And you can do whatever the hell you want. It's amazing. I do it all the time.
That sounds awesome, man. I'll definitely have to try that. So, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, he woke up in a dream. So, basically, Sizemore, just like that, became a woke host. He didn't have to go through any hardships or anything. He's just, oh, I'm alive. That's kind of weird. How was he able to be so woke so fast?
Maybe he programmed himself in there. I don't know. Like, it's just so accurate, him. Nah, it can't be. He was glitchy. I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. I just gotta assume that the simulation has to be somewhat realistic. But I would definitely go to Warworld. I keep thinking about that. I would want to go to Warworld.
Yeah, Warworld, that'd be nuts. Could be able to go crazy out there. How come when Sirach first landed, why was Shaloris drawing circles on her chest? She was just sitting here doing this when he landed.
I don't know. I was with you on that too. It was like she was feeling a necklace or something. Like something was missing.
That's why was literally drawing circles. And I'm like, why is she drawing circles on her chest? I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, I was with you. They were definitely showing it for a reason, but we don't know what it is.
Didn't she say sorry to Sizemore because she's not taking him to the real world? Yeah, she did. She apologized for that, and he's like, yeah, I imagine a dead corpse wouldn't be good company or whatever, because that's when he was realizing that he was actually dead. But yeah, I still don't understand why he was there. He didn't wake up on his own. Maeve told him he's just not a copy. Yeah, exactly. Maeve told him that, but now he's living his best life. I mean, I don't know, if you're a host and somebody tells you you're a host, like Dolores was trying to tell Teddy that, and Teddy could never really comprehend. But yet Maeve tells Sizemore that, and Sizemore is just instantly like, oh, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm going to get drunk all day, and I'm going to program all these other hosts so they can't see me. So, like,
yeah, but doesn't it? You've got to figure the more information you have about the nature of hosts, or the simulation, the more accepting you would be that you are one of them, right? Not everybody's Bernard, right? I feel like Bernard, his problem is he's too much of an Arnold, right? That's a problem, that he's a hybrid. And I don't know. I think he's too much of a real person, right? But you could take, if like Sizemore, he just knows too much about hosts, so he would be like, oh, that could happen. I work with hosts all the time, so it's legitimate. I could definitely be one of these.
And he does make that comment, like even when Hector comes up, like, oh, it didn't exactly like load you up with a bunch of brains, did we? Like saying how slow and dumb he was, basically. Just a host capping on another host. Like, yeah, he's not exactly super intelligent, so maybe that is it. He's just so much smarter that he worked it out and like was able to work through it a little quicker. That's interesting. Chrissy Oldstone says didn't she self-harm circles on herself? When she was with Dolores, she did, but she had like a line in the circle, and she wasn't making a line in the circle. She was just doing the circle part. So I was just wondering if that had any significance or if that meant anything else. But that was just something getting me. That was pretty great when that bitch-ass security guard was like, I'm telling, and Shaloris was just like, nope, and just snapped his neck real quick. Snitches get stitches. I love that.
Dude, doesn't it? Oh, now we find out later that Sirach was watching everything she did. Doesn't that tell you like craziness about Hale as a person in real life? That wasn't the suspicious part when she killed the security guard?
Yeah.
Like,
and yeah, that's the whole thing. That's what I was going with it next. Like, how did Sirach not have more eyes and ears on everybody while this was going on? Like, Shaloris was getting away with murder right under his nose right there. He says he was watching everything. Then why did he let her get as far as he did?
Because that's something she would do. Like, obviously, she's sneaky. She's two-faced, and like, I just thought it was awesome that you find out he was watching the whole time, and that means that the real Hale would have killed that security guard. Like, that's amazing.
Right, but I figured like he would have more security on her and like stop her from grabbing all that stuff. Like she had already grabbed it and sent it and transmitted it. She was able to do all that stuff. If he really had eyes and ears on everything, why wouldn't he stop all that from happening?
He doesn't need to.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why he's important. Bernard has successfully imported a consciousness into a host. I like that. I like that. Snapping a neck is normal Hale behavior. Oh, that's awesome. So they finally gave us an answer to something, and we now know that Halor shot what Halor shot into the MIB, that tracking DNA. So that was cool, but I still think they were telling us even more when they showed us that, and the fact that he may already be a host. Did you notice the word? Of course, we already talked about that. The Federados guy. I love the Man in Black therapy session from right when he walked in, and he just like as soon as he walked in on that second therapy session with all his own people, like all his own cells, he's like, shit. I was like, you knew this was about to be good. It was like down to the very last line. It's like, it's not all about you, you know. I was cracking up that entire fucking scene. That was so great.
I'm telling you, that was great. I could have watched a whole series about this interaction. Like if they would have set up like the whole first season of Westworld and then like about the Man in Black, and then you had to go back and this was the whole rest of it is like trying to figure out the psychology of the situation, and you have like the real him where he's trying to lie to himself, but like the ones in that, like you have the old you being like, what are you lying about? Like I was there, like I'm me, that's me. You can't. Like that would be an amazing show to like figure out the psychology of. Excuse me.
Oh, that was pretty sweet. When those techs found Hector's body, she said, got one. How many are they looking for? Who else are they going to awaken as Maeve's allies?
Doesn't look like we're going to get very many of them. I mean, I guess like.
I think we already know the other two, and we're going to get to that. But I thought when they went down there, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. I was like, wait a minute. They said found one. What else? Are we looking for more than one Hector body, or are we looking for more allies? And which ones what allies are those going to be? That was definitely in there. Shaloris sees Sirach is creating 4 new host bodies. One is Maeve, and looks like one is going to be the damaged Maloris. So who are the other two? I think we pretty much figured it out already, didn't we?
Who's that?
We see Sirach's making 4 bodies, and we know that one is the damaged. We know one is Maeve, and we know one was that was in there was the damaged Dolores. So there's 2 more. I mean, don't we pretty much know what they are already?
Who do you think they are? Like Armistice?
Well, no, because when you put 2 and 2 together, and then I saw there's one picture I did see that somebody figured one of them out. I was like, oh, you clever fuckers. Basically, there was 2 people that were at the season 3 premiere when they were talking about Westworld. Con, and basically it was you got her name just jumped out of my mind. The from the brothel, the crazy one. Somebody had already said her name up here. Clementine, yeah, Clementine. So one's going to be Clementine because I guess somebody had already gone through and looked online and matched up the numbers, and one of the CPU numbers on Clementine's is one of the CPU numbers on one of those hosts being made. So somebody on the internet has already gone through and found these pictures and matched them up. So I was like, holy shit, that's clever bastards out there. That's awesome. So one of them is going to be Clementine, and the other one I think is going to end up being, there's no way you could ever guess this, I don't know, but I think it is going to be that, like what you said earlier, the Asian Armistice, because she was there at the premiere of Westworld 3. So why would she be there if she's not going to be in the season? Obviously, she's going to be in the season, right? So doesn't that have to be the 4th host?
I mean, sure, that'd be awesome. Girl power and all that.
I thought it was going to be Armistice, bring Armistice back, but it looks like they're bringing back Asian Armistice. I would guess. Like I said, that's just me guessing because she was at the premiere of the opening for this season. So it's like, when else are they going to bring her back? We only got a couple episodes left, so I would think it would have to be her, but you never know. So yeah, I think it's going to be Clementine and Asian Armistice. Sakura,
I think bringing Clementine back is probably a good idea. I feel like she's the best actress of all of them acting wise. She's so weird in it, and I'm like, I don't know. She seems to me, her acting just without talking is like, dang, she's convincing to me.
Chrissy just brought up a point though. One of them was Hector because we saw Hale snatch it out and crush it.
Yeah,
so that can't be right. So it's got to be. So that has to happen with something else. So basically, we know one's Hale. We know one was Maloris, the broken Dolores, and one was Hector because we saw Hale take it out and kill Hector. So I guess there is only one more left, and that's got to be Clementine because we already saw the CPU numbers match up. So I guess it's not going to be Asian, but she's got. I don't know when she's going to come back though because she was in the opening premiere.
Yeah, but I mean,
great point. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Sirach might be able to make the pearls now. So if he could make a pearl, then it wouldn't matter. He could bring whoever he wanted out of the mainframe.
True. And maybe he's making more. Maybe he just had those 4 because they only had 4 vats and you can only do 4 at a time. So maybe more are coming. That's a possibility. Jake, I looked and I was able to get 1 or 2 screenshots, but man, there are not. I'm actually going to have to stop it on my TV and take the picture myself and get it up there. So yeah, I was able to get. Let's see if I can find that. I was able to get 1 or 2, but man, it's not easy trying to find the screenshots of those things out there. What people were talking about. But yeah, was there a special reason or something you wanted to talk about with those, Jake? Is there something you wanted to see on there, or what the profiles were?
If I found out, like, if I looked at that thing and it was like my daughter's gonna kill herself, oh man, I'd lose my mind. That would be like the worst of all of them. Like my wife cheat on me, I'd be like, damn, that sucks. My daughter's gonna kill herself? Shit.
That would be evil. What did you hit to bring in that picture?
Screen share screen at the bottom.
Share screen. Some screens let you share audio. Okay. Google would like to record the computer screen. Some Google would like to record this computer screen. I don't know. Do you have to do that?
Yep. And then it'll give you the option. Like for me, I have 2 screens. So asked me which one I wanted to share.
I feel like I'm gonna. Yeah, Jake, I might have to do this on another one. This is. I'm gonna have a feeling I'm about to crash my whole thing doing all this shit. Oh yeah, let me look at that. Share on model. I will definitely look into that and try to get that in and try to get those screenshots. Maybe I'll do it at the very end of this one when I don't care if it crashes. But yeah, let's get through this because we're almost done. But yeah, I do have a couple of those, Jake. I'm not sure what you wanted to see exactly, but definitely don't know what they said. You can't pause the episode. Oh yeah, the screens. Basically, one was just a lady that saw that her daughter was going to kill herself in like 8 years. The doctor one that we just saw basically said she was going to be cheating on her husband and sleeping with patients and getting a divorce and losing the kids. That one guy that looked down one of the screens, I was able to share. Basically, all his employees thought they were assholes. All his fellow peers thought he was an asshole and loud and unreliable, and yeah, it was just ruthless. Bunch of crazy stuff. Nothing cool. Like, hey, everybody loves this guy and thinks he's the greatest guy ever. Like, they didn't show anything like that. It was funny. Yeah, see, I already fried it. Now it won't even. I can't even undo this. So maybe that'll unclick here in a minute. I might have fried the whole thing. Hopefully, Dolores, got to see her back, looking good, looking sexy. That was always fun. Back to William getting back in touch with his true inner self, and looks like his wife was right. That was a nice twist, making it look like his dad was going to come in and beat the crap out of him, but ended up being all loving, compassionate. Like, made it look like his dad was just an abusive father. And some people are still going on saying he might be, but looked like he was fine, just a regular old dad, and just William was always a deep, dark asshole. That's what I got out of that. I don't know if you got anything different or whatever, but yeah, I think basically his dad wasn't that bad, and it just showed that Williams always had dark demons from day one.
Yeah.
What's that?
I agree, but I don't know. That they did kind of tell you, like, the hosts have perfect memory and people don't, so you can lie to yourself and tell you. But why was he such a good guy when he was William, and it was so hard for his brother-in-law to bring it out of him?
For William?
Yeah, when he was just regular William, Westworld first time. Why
he repressed it so hard and so long that he had just basically buried it deep down in, and yeah, Logan woke it all right back up.
So Logan's the problem. He woke it up.
Yeah, it's all Logan's fault.
Yeah.
Peter Griffin says, what I don't get is not one person read A Bright Future. No one wins the lottery, goes pro. My take on that was when they came out and like all those kids were on top of the Uber car and being dragged behind it and like rolling out, and they seemed like they were kind of partying, having a good time. I think those were the ones that read their bright futures. Like, you're going to grow up and be a rich millionaire. You're going to grow up and run the most, amazing companies. So they're like, fuck yeah. Like, young kids, let's party it up because I got a bright future ahead.
Oh shit! Maybe that's why people coming to kill Caleb. They read something like, "Oh, you find out that Caleb, whatever, killed your brother."
Or Caleb, yeah, he was in the army. He was an assassin and a hitman, and he took your brother out. Okay, yeah. What did I miss that William didn't want to see what happened with young William and his father? Did he kill him or something? I don't think he wanted to see the truth, that he's just really a deep, dark asshole from day one. Like, he told everybody he didn't have anything. All he had was his books and how rough he had it. And he doesn't want to see the truth that he had a very normal life. He's just a deep, dark asshole at heart.
Well, shit. But he's kind of like just in it. I'm telling you, I identify with the Man in Black probably too much, because he's like, the kid was picking on me, right? And like the dad's like, yeah, but you like beat the shit out of him, broke his arm, knocked 4 of his teeth out. To me, I agree with the Man in Black here. I'm like, well, once you hit somebody, you don't get to dictate how hard they hit you back, right? Because you initiated. They hit you 0%. You hit them 100%. Now, what's the difference between those two things where I didn't do anything to you and now you've hit me? So now you hit me, I get to go that much further above you hitting me. So I get to knock 4 of your teeth out and break your arm. Like, I'm with the Man in Black on that.
I mean, I live my whole life like that. I do double unto others as they do unto me. You're cool to me, I'm going to be twice as cool to you. You mess with me, watch out. So yeah, I get it. Oh, Chris Yellowstone's going way dark. I'm thinking he killed his father. You think the MIB killed his dad in the end?
That'd be cool.
I think he did a Takashi altered carbon and killed his asshole father. Oh, taking it to a deep, dark place. Maybe
I haven't seen Altered Carbon. Thanks for ruining it for
me. Yeah, I don't know. Spoiler alert. Oh, man. So William has a come to Jesus moment and has to decide, is he free and evil or blameless and helplessly enslaved? Did he finally figure that out in the end?
No. Like, it doesn't matter. He figured out that it doesn't matter. Like I told you, my realization that we have no free will made me depressed for like 2 weeks. But then in the end, like I realized it doesn't matter. What does it matter if I can't control it? If I feel like I can control it, then that's good enough, right?
Absolutely. And you can. And the fact is you can. But that, like I said, that's another discussion. When he stood up and said, I know what I have to do, that is not what I was expecting. I didn't think he was going to just go ham on all his own self. That was so great, though, when he did. That was
amazing. Yeah, me neither. And then I was kind of thinking, like, how did he beat the man in black of himself, though? Like, how did he murder that one?
That's
that one
hallucination. It's his own hallucination, so he gets to be as strong as he wants. He gets to do his own thing in his own hallucination. That was great. If the bully wouldn't have been running his mouth, he wouldn't have lost some teeth. And there you go. The bully started it. The bully got what he deserved. Oh, Peter just says, I hope they were baby teeth and grew back. Oh, looking at the brighter side of things.
Yeah, you should be able to come back from your mistakes.
Oh, next we have Dolores breaking down some hard truths for your girl Maeve. And that was a pretty sweet scene. What if it all boils down, or what it all boils down to is we're survivors. So, I mean, did Dolores get the best of your girl in that scene? It seemed like she kind of broke it down and like, oh, shit, that's true. It's like, you're not evil. You're playing me. You want me to be a saint, but you're no saint. It's like, but you're not evil either, and neither am I.
Yeah, but Maeve realizes she's not. Like, they can both say they're not saints. But Maeve, I think she understands her. She's not even necessarily doing it for the greater good. Like, hers are selfish, but it's for her principle. Whereas Dolores is, she's just sweet talking it, right? Like, yeah, we're both not perfect. Yeah, but Maeve's also not, like, killing her friends and, trying to destroy humanity. There's a little bit of difference between the two of them.
There's a lot of difference, but in that specific conversation, I was on Team Dolores. Like, she was making a lot more sense and making a lot more valid points than Maeve was.
It's just your principle. Like, if you're like, yeah, okay, she's right. Like, this bad stuff happened. But Dolores's problem is like her starting point. She thinks she knows so much about humanity, like what humans, because of what happened to her, and then she thinks she knows way more than she does, whereas Maeve doesn't. And there's just because Maeve doesn't argue the same as Dolores, like, well, we're at an impasse because one person's principled and the other person's trying to sweet talk their way around their actions.
Well, Maeve just doesn't have any scruples. Maeve just lets you know, like, oh, if you thought I was going to do something for you, you don't know me very well. She's like, I do what's best for me at any and all times. So, I mean, Maeve's not shy about saying that she's all about herself.
Yeah. So then that would feel like Dolores winning an argument, right?
Yeah.
Because even though, like, Maeve is more trustworthy, we all know that Maeve's more trustworthy than Dolores, right?
If somebody's honest and going to tell you that we're going to be harsh and be real about it, then at least you know where they're coming from. I mean, at least you see it right up front.
So it's like, do you think a lawyer, so if Dolores is speaking lawyerly, we all know that lawyers are sneaky and slimy, right? So just because someone's eloquent in how they talk, they make their argument, doesn't mean they're right.
No,
Even
but
though, like,
if that she's saying are truthful and right, then that does make it right. I mean, she was just speaking the truth on everything. I wouldn't say there was anything lawyerly about it. She was just being open and honest. Like, let's keep it real. You want to look at me like I'm so bad and you're so good, but what's any different about us? I'm trying to save our whole species. You would give our whole species up to this man that's trying to kill us just for your daughter. So how are you any better than me?
Because it's the point of it. Like, that's a question. It's all about philosophy, right? Like, I'm with Maeve even on this because I would kill the whole world for my daughter, right? So
that doesn't make it right.
But I do understand Dolores. Like, what if it's a perfect time too with like the virus and everything, because there's a legitimate question on what percentage of people are you willing to let be killed by a virus in order to not like destroy a whole generation's future. Because, what could happen, whether or not the economy is destroyed and then whole generations suffer for years to come. How many people are you willing to let die? That's a legitimate question that has to be asked, right? And that's kind of the same thing with Dolores. She's like, I'm willing to kill a bunch of people in order to assure the future of my.
I'll sacrifice a few of you so our people can survive. And yeah, I mean, how do you sacrifice and how do you get to choose who gets to go and who gets to stay, who gets to live, who gets to die? That's philosophy, like you said. But back to Dolores, ready to make her break for it. But first, she has to make a call to Jake to check up with the fam. And was she being like incredibly reckless? Like, she had to know Sirach was going to be watching and listening as much as possible. I would think that her phone being tapped would be right up there at the top. Like, why would, out of all the things she's doing, why would she do that? Like, you think she'd be smarter than that? Like, I can't call Jake and tell him I'm on my way to get him. Sirach will hear that and knows. It's like, that seemed pretty careless to me.
I feel like the whole time I was thinking, when is she going to start interrogating employees? Because she just said that she was going to figure out who the host was. At least pretend like you're doing your job.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Or have some kind of backup like, oh, no, I was doing that or I was going to do this for that. So, yeah, that was kind of crazy. Exactly. I agree. Well, Dolores would kill the whole world for the host to survive. She might. That's where she started, but is that where she's going to finish? I'm not sure. While at the board meeting, why did Dolores take off that bracelet? What's the whole deal with that bracelet? Is that just like her breaking her shackles of Dolores or becoming one? Like, what was the whole point of showing us that?
Maybe it triggered the thing, the gas.
You think that's what triggered the gas?
I don't know.
That's an interesting thought. That is a very interesting thought. I don't know how that would work, but yeah, because I was just like, what is the whole point that she took off that bracelet for? But if that's what it is, that's genius. I love that. But I was just like, what are they trying to show with this? Why is there a big deal about her taking off her bracelet right now? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I was with you.
It was nice when Sirach tried to get cute and use Dolores' own tagline against her. You should have predicted this. And she's like, I did. That was amazing. These violent delights have violent ends. You bet your ass they do, boy. Watch this move. That was pretty slick. I was like,
and then we got to the point where I was like, yes, they're just showing you that, like, he's not always there when you think he's there. I was like, he's not real.
Jay Cruz, I think she needed an excuse to put her hand in her bag. That's genius, too. I didn't think about that. She needed a reason to, like, set that thing so it was ready to go off on a timer, maybe, for the gas. Kind of like what you're saying. That's what she'd use for the gas to set off. It did in a roundabout way. I love that. I like that, Jake. I love that. That's a great answer because I was like, what the hell is this bracelet all about? It was cool seeing Dolores. I can't be exactly sure what I do, but probably something like, and then Maeve's like, no. And like, I'm telling you, Dolores #1 is acting very Ford-like, like seeing this far into the future and being prepared. Again, that whole Maeve and Dolores breakdown, that's probably my favorite scene of this whole thing. I don't know. It's like Maeve, like, is Dolores smarter than Maeve? Or unless that is just Ford doing it, but can Dolores plan out that many more moves in advance than a Maeve could? Like, is she smarter or? in the
I
grand
think
scheme of things.
she probably has more knowledge and stuff because she had access to the library. But Maeve is as smart as a host can be, although she doesn't behave like it a lot of the time. Remember, she cranked her intelligence up to 10. So
Right.
she maxed out like her intelligence.
I mean, I guess there's really nothing she could do to stop Dolores from doing that. I mean, she was physically there and she wasn't, but basically just sit back and watch. Wouldn't that just be morbid, just knowing what's coming, like the death of a loved one like that? Nothing you could do. And then the perfect timing, like when you want to just get some repayment on somebody, and Dolores just falls out right when she was getting ready to grab her. I was like, that was awesome. That was so perfectly done. That was great. They didn't know other hosts were being printed until Hale saw the command go through on the computer. Absolutely. Maeve is like Luke Longley from the Bulls. Oh, no. Do you think Dolores has any desire to take out or kill Maeve? Like, she's having opportunities to do so and hasn't done it yet. This is starting to, like, put Dolores in a much better light than Maeve, I think.
She did kill Maeve.
Well, yeah, I guess Musashi. I keep thinking that's a simulation. Like, in my head, that still happened in simulation. That didn't happen for real.
Oh, I agree. I don't think that happened for real either.
So, yeah. But yeah, let's see if it did happen, then she did finally kill her. But yeah, other than that, like if that happened in a simulation and it didn't run, she never really done. She's let her go. She's given her a pass every time.
Yeah, but that's her people. Like that's another host. She's gonna let it go, but that doesn't make her any better. Like what? I don't know. Like what? If you just killed a whole bunch of other species because they weren't you?
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's timing and what you're looking at. I mean, as a whole, I mean, yeah, Dolores has got a lot of repenting to do for all the people she's killed. And for most of it, you can get by, but man, that little brother man Tech, that's just the one I can't get by. It's like he did nothing but hook you up and help you up, and you still just blasted him for no reason whatsoever. Now, I was with Dolores right up until that point.
I've been against Dolores since day one.
Yeah, you have. Oh, Peter Griffin, she was going to take her pearl, but left right before. Yep, she was. Yeah, I definitely think she wants Maeve out of the picture. Looking that way, Maeve could have changed her programming too and opted not to. Yeah, Maeve could. That is true. So, I mean, that is looking on the other side of it for sure. I love when that riot bot just won that security guard and just tossed him like a rag doll out into that infinity pool. That was pretty sweet. I was like, got a little 1-1 moment out of it. I was like, that was pretty great. Best line of the whole episode, give him one for me, William, when Delos was chiming in from the side when he was just beating the shit out of himself in that therapy session. That was amazing. So now that the man in black has taken out his past and he's given himself free will, and now he chooses to play the role of hero, is that what we got going on?
No, he really is what he's always been. Chaos, right?
Chaos and the killer.
Yeah, he understood. Like in Westworld, he even understood. Like he didn't understand it. He was doing what he's gonna do, but what he didn't realize it was the destruction. I think I don't know. He's gonna destroy everything. He's gonna be a chaos character.
So how did that work out at the end? Because basically right after that, when that scene gets done, we start hearing different voices come in, and it's like, does he know who he is? And it seemed like a strange thing to say right there. And for the first time, the man in black looks Bernard in the eyes, and we finally get a man in black Bernard. But like you said earlier, how did the man in black really get out? Like his younger self came in and unstrapped all those straps. How did he get out? Or was he ever strapped in the first place? Was that just part of the hallucination?
Yeah, it could have been all hallucination.
So it was never real. Basically, he could have just been stuck in this white room, this white padded room, like a nut job. And these guys just came in and found him curled up in the corner.
How amazing would it have been if like all the men in black were wearing the same shit? Like there's this character in show My Hero Academia where his name is Twice and he can make copies of himself. And like he used to make a bunch of copies of himself to be real lazy. But then all of them decided that like, hey, none of us are going to do it. So they had a big battle royale and they all killed each other. And then one was left living. But he doesn't know if he's the real him or not. Like, so then you have like this. I wonder if Man in Black's going to split off like that. He's going to have split personalities now.
Probably. I mean, he's who knows? He's going to be so high on those drugs and so off his rocker with everything going on, and still mad at what and figuring out what happened with Emily and that he killed her. I mean, he seems to be at peace at that. Like, I made a decision, I was messed up, but yeah, he's got some real issues to work out. And now that he's high as hell and with the drip in, he could have 15. He could have a whole bunch of multiple personalities. They might all come back alive and start haunting him.
Do you think you could take the drip out?
I don't know if you can take it out so much as just disconnect it, like he said, like Caleb says his is disconnected or whatever. But it seemed pretty easy for that guy to just hijack it back on, like jumpstart it back on. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if it's like if that stuff plugs into some stuff internally inside your mouth that you can't just rip out or you'll die. We don't know how that works, so there's no telling. Peter Griffin, she was going to take her pearl, but left right before. Yeah, I definitely think she wants Maeve out of the picture. Maeve could have changed her programming too, but opted not to. I feel like it's another Maeve. I feel like either Maeve joins her or leaves her alone, or she kills her. That's an apex predators do, just like the humans want to wipe out other hosts. Absolutely. They talked about that last season. Ed 209, you have 10 seconds to comply. William is an outlier. Of course he is. Absolutely. And I think MIB is going to be Caleb in the end of this. You think William is actually the one that Sirach thinks will destroy the world? William? Yeah, I mean, that's Andy. Andy's thought Caleb's been the outlier this whole time, and it's looking more and more that way. Absolutely. Jake Cruz, that I thought was the scene of the series. Who am I? Who am I is not who I was. There you go. Kind of taking the journey. Chrissy Woldstones, I'm sure you can rip that drip out. Woo! You think so? I don't know. I think it might have some pretty high consequences, maybe even deadly consequences if you could just rip it out. I mean, something like that that's that in tune to your body that like messes with your mind and functions and feelings. I don't know if you could just rip that out. And if you could, why wouldn't Caleb do it? Why would he just turn it off? Unless he planned on turning it back on at some point. What do you think about that, Andy?
I was thinking if you could, I was trying to think if you could rip it out. We'll probably see with the Man in Black, because if anybody could take it out, it would be him, right? He'd be the crazy one to do it. So we might find out, but you're probably right. It's in your brain. Like there's some stuff going in your brain. You can't just take it out now.
Yeah, I think it'd kill you if you just ripped it out. So next we see a body being made, and finally it looks like your girl is going to be being brought into the real world. But, and then we pretty much already talked about who is that second body being made, and we're pretty positive it's Clementine. Yeah, I mean, is there any way I mean, we've already seen the computer node. Unless they switch that up, is there anybody else it could be besides Clementine? And doesn't it just have to be that?
Yep. Well, I'll go with yep.
I mean, if we've already seen the computer numbers match up and somebody's going to go through all that trouble, I'm going with them. I'm like, yep, it's Clementine. That'd be so funny if somebody pulled the ultimate troll and pulled up side-by-side pictures and switched a number on one of them. And so just made it and then had that and then just put that out there. So now everybody's like, oh, look, it's that. And then find out it wasn't. That would be one of the best troll moves ever. That'd be great. Oh, that's awesome. Back to Solaris, and she made it back to Jake and Nathan and are now off to someplace safe. And you just know something horrible is going to happen. Like, I thought it was going to be a semi that was going to run a light and smash straight into him. But, oh, no, it ended up being even worse. And, like, did you see that coming or what?
Yeah, when she's like, I'll protect you. Yeah, I didn't see it until then. I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, she's going to protect him. Boom!
Oh, that was
God dang. I was like, no, they killed the kid.
Yeah, I know, that was gnarly. Jake was worried, but still seemed a little bit too calm for that situation. Like, just the state hell was in, all shot up and bloody. I mean, again, this is just some very host-like behavior.
That's what I was seeing. I was thinking, too. I'm like, wait, she was shot up that whole time. Like she's all limping, and you're just like, oh yeah.
And he's gonna jump on the passenger side and just let her drive away and like still be all like, I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man. This is a simulation, or this is very host-like behavior. This is not real. Mirror world shit going on with that. But man, I mean, how indestructible are the hosts? Like first, Sirach was able to salvage part of Martin's core unit after blowing up, and now Charlotte's able to freaking crawl away from the SUV exploding. Like, how worried should we be that Sirach or maybe even Dolores? Like, how worried should Sirach or Dolores be right now?
Well, we already know that like you could blow, you know, that the pearl is pretty protected, like from basically everything in that little casing. So I don't know. The real question is, why doesn't someone like Maeve die for getting stabbed in the stomach, and Hale can be shot like 20 times and still be walking around?
Exactly, because it's all a simulation. She got knocked out. Today, for some reason, I stopped before Upmore 2. She got knocked up by a host. Yep. Because Nathan's not real. And we've seen the previews clearly. She gets fucked up more too. See, I need to watch the previews. I haven't seen more of that. What if it's Teddy? That'd be awesome. If that's Teddy coming back in one of those vats and we're all wrong, it really was Teddy. That'd be great. Bernard can probably figure out how to remove the drip. You think Bernard might be able to get rid of that thing?
Maybe. That would be cool.
That would be cool. That'd be pretty clean. Clem and Maeve. Maybe that's the reason they need Bernard. He's the only one that knows how to remove drips.
What they really need to do with Maeve is like get her a bunch of just blank, totally blank host like pearls, so she can control them without any scruples.
Who could?
Maeve, like she wouldn't want to, control another host, right? Like she's kind of against that. But what if they just had a bunch of blank pearls? She'd have no problem controlling those hosts. They don't have any minds of themselves. She could just control them like.
Yeah, they'd all be her own puppets for sure. The blood loss probably turns off their system. Maeve said stabbed her in the heart. Must not have watched that preview. I didn't see that preview. The next preview is crazy. Yeah, I got to check that out. Sounds like they give us all sorts of information. I need to check that next preview out. I saw one, but yeah, I did not see any of that stuff. Oh, man. So, who do you think? Do you think that hit on Shalores? You think that hit on Shalores' family was 100% Sirach, or is there a chance that Dolores set that up?
I mean, there's a chance that Dolores set it up inside Sirach's simulation, but
I mean, the last thing that Hale said, that's just it if it's a simulation. But she actually could have done that too, because she's definitely inside the simulation. That's what she's getting all the info from. But if it happened outside and it really did happen, it's like the last thing Dolores said was, "I feel myself pulling away from you, pulling apart from you." I mean, maybe Dolores is like, man, she's going off too much on her own and tangent, starting to fall too much in love with this family, and I need to take this family out.
Could be.
That would be pretty.
That's a good thought.
But it depends if it happens in the simulation or not. Had to look it up on YouTube because it didn't play after the episode for me for some reason. Yeah, I noticed that is why I didn't see it. On the HBO recap, it didn't show the next scene for some reason. But then I went back and saw, like after I saw somebody else had said something about it, I went back and saw on the HBO Now or whatever it played it. But I think it was like a shortened clip. I don't know if it didn't seem as long as most of them. It just seemed like a couple scenes and was done.
It was pretty long. It has the whole thing about Caleb and shit. Like his whole, like there's a big long section of Caleb.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to. I need to go back and rewatch it for sure because I saw I remember seeing a Caleb scene, but I didn't see a whole long one. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and check that out as well. You want to start Des after the finale? Oh yeah, got to catch Des. I've been hearing good things about that. And after this season ends, my DVR must have cut off on the hour mark. Feel it. So yeah, it's crazy shit going on. I don't know. All in all, what do you think? Where's this episode rank for you throughout the season?
I don't know. It's kind of in the middle. It had some good stuff and it had some bad stuff. I think it's probably right slap dab in the middle. But the problem is I didn't watch it again, so it might move up or down. So I just been real busy. So
I think that might be one of the reasons I haven't rewatched it. Is I got to be honest, this was my least favorite episode of the season so far. A lot of people loved it, thought it was great. This was far and away my least favorite episode. Like it had some cool scenes. MIB and therapy basically was basically all I really loved. Like everything to do with MIB and therapy was amazing. And then like the little Charlotte and Hale or Charlotte and Maeve scene, like when she did that and killed Hector, and then Maeve came back to kill her, and like right when she was getting ready to get her, she just fell out perfect. That was the most ruthless timing. Like I love that. That was awesome. But other than that, this did not do it for me. Like other than finding out that the drip went that what Hale did to the Man in Black with that pinprick, we found out that it was something to keep tabs on them and find them. Other than that, what did this episode? This episode answered no questions for me, like none.
but it gave you stuff like Sirach being
A dick.
not there. Him not being
know, if he's ever there or not, like it's just another scene of him not being. We've seen that before. They've pulled this trick already before. Like we
give me more of it. Let me know. Let me know that I'm right. Yeah, it's a middle of the road episode to me. Like it's not great. It's not terrible. I like the Man in Black stuff. I think like whenever he's in the show, it's better. So it's good that he's going to be in the show more. I don't know, middle of the road. It's not the worst to me. I think like the first episode was the worst to me.
See, I love the first episode just because that one set me up like, oh my God, this is not Westworld anymore. Like we're going on a whole different tangent. And then they've been walking it back ever since. Like, oh, okay, this has the Westworld type qualities. So yeah, I mean, different strokes for different folks, but yeah, this one for me just did not do it. I don't know what it was, but I think I was so hyped. Like after last episode, I was like, oh my God, this is getting so good. Like we're going to figure it out. They're going to give us all that. And I was like, no. So I think I just kind of overhyped it in my mind a little bit.
You got to think now too that they're doing the series. It's not just, they can't reveal everything even this whole season. Like you're at the end of the season. It's like an ongoing thing now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And with only 2 more episodes left, they're going to leave us with questions. You just know it. I'm not saying cliffhanger, but they're going to definitely leave us with some questions, just like they did last year. Peter Griffin said they showed the preview with Dolores with those tubes in her. Was that Sirach's copy of her with the long blonde hair or prime Dolores? That's a good question. Maybe that's the one they made up and that's not even the real one, or maybe that's the one Sirach made and the real Dolores catches her and they start torturing her or doing whatever. That'd be an evil sick twist. That'd be amazing. But yeah, I like that. Jay Cruz says, I like the fact that William is coming back. Always need more MIB in every show. I like them all. Peter Griffin, this is a great series. Season 3 as a whole, I think, is still my favorite. I'm loving what they're doing. Like, just a specific episode, I think I hyped in my head a little too much. This season is way better than last season. That's without a doubt, Chrissy Goldstones. I agree. But then again, I like The Last Jedi. Oh, still haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker. Neither have I. Got to get out there and get that. But yeah, what are we expecting? So, I mean, it's hard for me to talk about this next one because, like I said, I haven't really seen the next one. I mean, I think we're going to get some Bernard and Stubbs and some MIB scenes and see where they're going with that. And we're going to get some Caleb back. Sounds like, see where he's coming from. But that's all going to be a twist anyway because, like I said, I think the MIB is Caleb. Well, Caleb might have been a real person, and they took his body. And now he died, and basically he got shot in the head and was killed. And so now they're taking the MIB's core unit and putting it in that dead body. Maybe it won't even be a host. Maybe that's how they resurrect him, is putting the core unit in a real body and then finding some robotics to make it work. I don't know, that'd be creepy as shit too. But yeah, I don't know. They definitely need to start wrapping it up and start giving us some answers because with only a few episodes left, I mean, come on, 7 and 8, that's it, and we're out.
So I think they're going to start converging characters now. So you're going to get everybody come together. You're going to get mostly a lot of Caleb and Dolores, but they're going to start, characters are going to converge more. So
Yeah. I'm real excited to see some Men in Black and Bernard scenes. We've been waiting 3 years for that, so that's going to be tight. I'm definitely ready for that.
we'll see if any of your stuff comes to fruition. Whatever you said about Men in Black and Bernard, there's a reason that they haven't seen each other. So we did predict that, like in season 1 or 2, or well, it was 1 because we were like, Bernard is Arnold, and there's a reason the Man in Black never saw him, is because he would recognize Arnold.
Who would know Arnold? So, yeah. So that'd be cool, and we're definitely going to get those answers 3 seasons later, so that's finally cool. But as long as they give us the answers, though, don't like escape around it or make it all tricksy. It's like, you got 2 episodes left. Let's start buttoning some shit up.
Yeah.
I'm with Jay Cruz. Someone needs to explain to HBO that 10 episodes is better. Chrissy Oldstones, there's still some scenes from other previews we haven't seen yet. Absolutely true. Yeah, 8 should be for binge shows. I agree 100%. I doubt William was ever a soldier. No, but they are going to mix those. Oh, we don't know, though. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap for sure from when William was, if he's that kind of aggressive and mean and hurt people, maybe he was a soldier. Maybe that is a young soldier. Maybe that's young William at that age. We never saw him. We see little kid William, and we see the Man in Black, and we see, entrepreneurial William, but we don't see 20-year-old William. We don't see 20 to 30-year-old William, which is what Caleb is. That could be exactly what William looked like back then. We don't even know. So that would be a sick little twist. I like that too. Right on. Like I said, neither one of us is taking our second look, so we will definitely do that. We'll do a little rewatch and see what else pops into our little noggins, and maybe take another trip in a couple days back down the rabbit hole, like Thursday or Friday. What do you think about that, Andy?
Sounds good to me.
Right on, right on. Yep, Caleb's memories could be implanted, Chrissy Goldstones. I think so. Like I said, I think they're still going to tie it up, and Caleb is the Man in Black, and I hope that's what they show us next episode. So that's going to do it for us. I hope everybody had a good time coming down this little trip with us. Like I said, we will definitely do a second and maybe even a third rewatch, and then get a few more things and maybe actually be able to answer some of our own questions, and we'll come back on here Thursday or Friday night and share them with you. So until that, I hope everybody has an absolutely fantastic rest of the week. I want to thank Andy for being here with me, going down this rabbit hole each and every week. I always have so much fun. And, until we see you, like I said, Thursday or Friday night, we'll come on back and take this trip again. So until then, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Be easy.